Chapter 15:10. Yin-Yang asked softly, but, to kill the Phoenix Emperor? Hearing the two words Phoenix Emperor, the Demon Emperor's indifferent gaze shone with deep hatred. He gritted his teeth and said, "That's right. Kill him. You killed my best brother in tens of thousands of years." Speaking of the word brother, the Demon Emperor's tone was filled with indescribable mockery. The 5 great elders of the dragon tribe standing behind the spirit beast king were shocked to the core. Although they knew that the Demon Emperor was in a terrible state and was nearing the end of his life, they did not know the cause. At most, they had a vague guess that it might be related to the Phoenix Emperor. After all, the Phoenix Emperor was the second most powerful person in the demon race, second only to the Demon Emperor. As long as there was a possibility, they would not wish for the Demon Emperor's death to be caused by the Phoenix Emperor. That would be the greatest disaster for the entire demon race. Yin-Yang kept quiet for a moment and said, "I need to know the reason." After all, from what I can see, His Majesty did not want to kill the Phoenix Emperor when he summoned him, at least before I came here. He even wanted to entrust the entire demon race to him. Why would there be such a drastic change in such a short period of time? If I don't know the reason, I can't promise anything. The Demon Emperor glanced at Yin-Yang with a strange gaze and finally sighed. "Supreme Cloud, I can finally be sure now, the gap between you and me, the Phoenix Emperor, and wise men like you, is actually so vast. You can really analyze what someone is thinking, saying, and doing based on a gaze, an expression, and a tone of voice, then immediately make the corresponding arrangements and guide the situation to a state that you're happy with, or make other decisions that are beneficial to you. I can't believe that there are people like you in this world." Yin-Yang smiled faintly and did not comment. After all, such words were nothing new to the 9 Supremes think tank. He was used to it and did not find it strange. "You're right. If the Phoenix Emperor had answered my summons and given me a reasonable explanation, no matter whether the explanation was true or false, even if I'm dead this time, even if he's the one who killed me, I still wouldn't blame him. Even if I still hate him, want to scold and blame him, but handing the demon race over to him is still the best choice. After all, I still believe that he can lead the demon race to the destination that I expected, or even further than I expected. But he didn't come back. He didn't come this time, but I was still waiting and giving him a chance. I am waiting for a brother to send me on my way when I bid farewell to this world. It doesn't matter if this brother is a real brother or a fake brother. Even if it's all fake, we've still been together for tens of thousands of years. After all, in the eyes of the entire world, the Phoenix Emperor is my best brother. As long as he can give me the last bit of dignity, everything else isn't important. I admit defeat." The Spirit Demon Emperor's face revealed an extremely sorrowful expression. "But he still hasn't come back. He hasn't come back again and again. We don't have time to wait for him. We know that he won't come. He will only come back after we die and take over the demon race. If he comes, I'll give it to him. But if he doesn't come, I won't do as he wishes. I'll use my last bit of strength to destroy his wishful thinking." The Spirit Demon Emperor spoke through gritted teeth, but the more he spoke, the calmer his expression became. In the end, his voice was almost indifferent, like water without ripples. However, Yin-Yang knew that this was a sign that the Spirit Demon Emperor had made up his mind. "I'd like to hear the details." Yin-Yang looked doubtful for the first time. "Although I've guessed that the Phoenix Emperor is plotting against Your Majesty, I'd like to ask Your Majesty to explain the details. If I hadn't been in close contact with Your Majesty, it's hard to imagine how Your Majesty, with your cultivation base and combat ability, ended up in such a state. From the words of Your Majesty and the Golden Dragon Elder, I can tell that Your Majesty was still the same as before a day ago, before the apocalyptic ploy was activated. Could this be related to the apocalyptic ploy?" The Spirit Demon Emperor took a long look at Yin-Yang before a self-deprecating smile appeared on his face. "I thought that we valued Supreme Cloud very much, but we've still underestimated you. You shouldn't be called Supreme Cloud, you should be called Supreme Wit. Just as you've guessed, everything stems from the apocalyptic ploy. The apocalyptic ploy can be considered a hoax that isn't a hoax. A hoax? A hoax that isn't a hoax? Yin Yang, along with the 5 dragon elders, could not help but ask. To say that it's a hoax, it should be a plot against me, a plot that deceives me of my life, soul, cultivation base, status, and everything about me. The spirit demon emperor smirked. To say that it isn't a hoax, it's because the apocalyptic ploy really exists and its power is real, even beyond imagination. It's also because it's beyond imagination that the backlash is even more terrifying. I can basically confirm that the only target of this backlash is the demon emperor who presided over the apocalyptic ploy. I'm the only one. I boast that I know everything about the apocalyptic ploy. The only thing I don't know about is this backlash. I've gone through all the arrangements and records regarding the apocalyptic ploy countless times, but I've never seen the existence of the backlash. Yin Yang smiled. Your Majesty is mistaken. This is actually the most logical explanation. If you've known about this backlash, with your Majesty's character, why would you even think of using it? Your Majesty cherishes your life very much. Listening to Yin Yang's blatant mockery, the 5 dragon elders glared at him. The spirit demon emperor, on the other hand, remained calm and unperturbed as he continued, this apocalyptic ploy, we've been studying it since 10,000 years ago. The spirit demon emperor paused and continued in a tone that was utterly chilling. However, 10,000 years ago, or perhaps even longer, when the Phoenix Emperor proposed the apocalyptic ploy, he presented it to me, or rather, all the information related to the apocalyptic ploy that I could get my hands on, was altered. No, he only deleted the part about the backlash. As long as the backlash doesn't exist in the records, of course, I'll actively work on this matter. Yin Yang continued, the person who is the best at lying actually rarely lies. Almost every word he says is true. It's only when he needs to, at the most crucial moment, that a lie or half a sentence is enough to complete the plot. If it wasn't for the Phoenix Emperor's scheming, Your Majesty wouldn't have used the identity of the spirit demon emperor to carry out the apocalyptic ploy and end up in this state. Sigh. People like you who are used to scheming have dirty hearts and can understand each other's schemes the best. But no matter what, the Phoenix Emperor has already set up this plot. It's been set up too early. When he said the last 3 words, the spirit demon emperor was practically gritting his teeth, squeezing them out through the gaps between his teeth. The 5 great elders of the dragon clan looked at each other in shock. They did not expect to witness such a secret when they were dragged in by the Dragon Emperor today. The 5 great elders were all important members of the Dragon clan and the Spirit Demon Emperor's trusted subordinates. Of course, they knew when the apocalyptic ploy had started. Thinking about it, all of them sucked in a cold breath in unison, shuddering in fear. If the plot had already started from that time, how cunning was the Phoenix Emperor? That was not something that could only be described as a heart. That heart was clearly black, completely black. No, the plot didn't start from that time. The spirit demon emperor thought about it and said, it should be even earlier. His gaze pierced through the void in front of him, looking into the distance. In the distance, some scenes appeared as the spirit demon emperor's gaze was focused. The quiet grassland should have been the backyard of the leaders of the various clans at that time. At that time, the rulers of the various clans of the demon clan had gathered on this grassland. This grassland was the sacred land of the entire demon clan, the field of celestial demons. In front of everyone, a small dragon, a small phoenix, a small tiger, a small fox, a small horse, a small deer, and a small eagle appeared. They were all playing and playing happily. There was no separation between them, only harmony. The spirit demon emperor pointed. That's me, that's the Phoenix Emperor, that's the Fox Emperor, that's the Bear Emperor. At that time, our fathers were around. We often played together, almost every day. We had a good relationship since we were young. It was probably an opportunity that our fathers deliberately created for us to grow and become stronger together. We were always close, not brothers, but closer than brothers. Even if we became the rulers of our own clans in the future, there would still be no barriers between us. It was more convenient for us to create a bright future for the demon clan together. In order for us young ones to be together, most of our fathers abandoned the territories that were originally suitable for them to live in and gathered on this field of celestial demons, and we didn't disappoint them. We grew up day by day. Among them, I was the oldest, and I was also the strongest. However, at that time, the title of boss was just a title I gave myself. I was only the strongest in terms of battle prowess and could suppress everyone else. I've been a stubborn and arrogant child since I was young. In addition, I was used to being domineering, so naturally, I was ostracized by others. Almost no one liked me. Everyone liked to be close to the nine-tailed white fox and the Phoenix Emperor. The spirit demon emperor's face was filled with melancholy as he reminisced. From the constantly changing scenery, Yin-Yang saw the little dragons and phoenixes quarreling, fighting, forming small groups, and fighting each other, but they were also growing up. Finally, the scene stopped. At this time, the future emperors had already transformed into their human forms. At this time, our fathers and the rest were actually very old. Look at the Battle of the Crimson Soul Mountain today. It's already very tragic, but you don't know that the war between the two clans back then was the real tragedy. Our fathers were all severely injured in the Crimson Soul War back then and didn't have long to live. Therefore, many of the major and minor matters in the clan were already decided by us. Our forefathers have given us a deadline. Within 5,000 years, we have to choose the real demon king from this group of little brothers, to lead all the clans of the demon race. The demon race needs a common leader. It was also from then on that our group of brothers changed from a small quarrel to a competitive relationship. Soon, we were divided into 3 groups. The flying clans mostly supported the Phoenix Emperor. The land beasts worshipped the nine-tailed white fox as their leader. Nine-tailed white is the leader. There's also a portion that treats Emperor Rock, who refuses to submit to the Phoenix Emperor, as their leader. They formed their own faction, the Spirit Demon Emperor murmured. The corners of Yun-Yang's lips twitched as he listened. What about you? The Spirit Demon Emperor's expression was a little embarrassed and resentful. Back then, I was only the leader of a group of young brothers in the dragon race. I won it with my fists and didn't have much credibility. Therefore, no one from the other clans acknowledged me. Yun-Yang coughed, feeling that it was so ridiculous that he forgot to retort. The current Spirit Demon Emperor, the Spirit Demon Emperor who commanded all the demons in the world, was actually alone during the competition for the Spirit Demon Emperor position. He did not even have a supporter. Who would believe this? It had to be said that this matter was rather bizarre. The 5 dragon elders' expressions were similar to Yun-Yang's. 3 of them had personally experienced the incident back then. Their expressions were even more sorrowful now. That was the situation back then. No matter who the Spirit Demon Emperor was, it was never my turn to be the Spirit Demon Emperor. I had never thought of becoming the Spirit Demon Emperor back then. Everyone is holding back their energy to compete with the other teams. 4,000 years have passed in a hurry. Everyone has reached the beginner stage of the Sage Realm, but no one can suppress the others and take the lead. But at that time, everyone already knew in their hearts that the Phoenix Empress was not weaker than me. She was improving rapidly, and her mind was nimble. She was calculative and far-sighted. Everyone felt that if the next demon sovereign was the Phoenix Empress, she would definitely continue her glory. The nine-tailed white fox was intelligent and thoughtful. He took 1 step forward and looked ahead 3 steps ahead. If he were to be the Spirit Demon Emperor, there would be a new atmosphere. Our generation was considered by our fathers to be the most outstanding generation in history. My father once said that if this generation didn't achieve great things, the demon race would truly have no hope. He even warned me many times that no matter who became the Spirit Demon Emperor in the future, I must listen to him. The more Yun-Yang listened, the more ridiculous he felt. Did this not mean that the Spirit Demon Emperor back then could not possibly become the Spirit Demon Emperor? There was not even a possibility. Could there have been some sort of shady deal that caused such a change? In spite of this, Yin-Yang dared not say it out loud like before. After all, it was easier said than done. Even if the spirit demon emperor could not do it due to his physical condition, the other dragon elders might not be able to hold themselves back. It was about 5,000 years. When the last 1,000 years began, I had completely given up then. I was only waiting for the time when I pledged my loyalty to the new spirit demon emperor. The Phoenix Emperor suddenly came to me. He brought the Phoenix clan and all the flying tribes that followed him to find me, saying that he wanted to support me as the leader. He had been extremely respectful to me since the first time he saw me, prostrating himself before me. There was a trace of disbelief on the spirit demon emperor's face as well. Obviously, Long Yutian's expression back then should have been even more surprised than he was now. Yin-Yang was even more surprised. What the heck was this? I thought it was already ridiculous that it was a shady deal, but this was even more ridiculous. It was actually a younger brother who came to find me and prostrated himself, and he even brought all his subordinates to pledge his allegiance. This was too fantastical. It looks like Supreme Cloud was surprised too. Not only was Supreme Cloud surprised, I was the same. I laughed when he acknowledged me. Both of us had fought so many times before, neither of us was willing to submit to the other. Why did he suddenly acknowledge me? He had always looked down on me. However, the truth was right before our eyes. It felt great that this younger brother brought all his assets to pledge his allegiance. I was very excited too, and I had no reason to reject him. Especially when the Phoenix Emperor mentioned so many benefits that I could only have as the Spirit Demon Emperor. I had so many strengths. I'm afraid even I can't say how many strengths I actually have. In the end, the Phoenix Emperor pointed out that perhaps I wasn't a good friend or a good brother, but as a ruler, as the Spirit Demon Emperor, I was the most qualified and most suitable. Therefore, he supported me. For the sake of the demon race's great cause, this sacrifice was necessary. Then, he found Emperor Rock's group and told Emperor Rock that since neither of us were willing to submit to the other and both of us objected to the other becoming the Spirit Demon Emperor, it was better to fight to the end. In the end, neither of us would be able to sit in this position. If we were to continue the internal conflict, it would only damage the demon race's foundation. If that was the case, then we might as well not do it. Then, Emperor Rock agreed. Just like that, the three of us gathered as one. Our momentum was unprecedented, completely suppressing Nine-Tailed White's group. Nine-Tailed White's group saw that the situation was hopeless, so they gave up the fight. It was also because of this that I naturally became everyone's boss. From the most marginalized person, I became everyone's boss. The Demon Emperor's face was still filled with confusion as he said, the 5,000 years time limit was up. We gathered together, with me as the leader, to pay our respects to our fathers, saying that we've elected the publicly acknowledged Demon Emperor. When I stood up and my brothers saluted me, I clearly remember that all of our fathers were stunned. They were drinking then, and many of them even spilled their wine. Everyone was dumbfounded and in disbelief. Even my biological father, the Dragon Emperor at that time, fell from his chair to the ground. He kept asking us if we were putting on an act to fool them. Yin-Yang could imagine the scene. If he had been the person involved, he might not have felt any better. A person who was publicly acknowledged to be the most impossible had been elected as the Demon Emperor. How absurd was this? The Demon Emperor let out a long sigh. It was only today that I understood what this was. I was actually just a scapegoat that the Phoenix Monarch had found. I was a puppet that trusted him completely, and had no intention of guarding against him at all. I was completely controlled by him. The Phoenix Emperor knows that no matter if it's Nine-Tailed White or the Rock Emperor, he won't be able to control either of them if they become Demon Emperors. I'm the only one who's foolish enough to believe whatever he says. On the premise that he can't become Demon Emperor and needs to avoid the backlash of the apocalyptic ploy, only I, who listens to his suggestions, can succeed as Demon Emperor. To accomplish his great cause. Now that I think about it, I can almost say that he had already calculated today's situation since then. Other than me, even if Emperor Rock were to become the Demon Emperor, the Phoenix Emperor wouldn't be able to control him. He's calculated my personality to the core. How scheming, how forbearing, how terrifying. I'm utterly convinced by his plotting. I'm extremely impressed. I'm convinced. Yin Yang sighed emotionally. Thinking of the Phoenix Emperor's series of plans, even though he had always been known as the Wise One and Supreme Wit, he still felt chills down his spine when he recalled all of the Phoenix Emperor's plans. A plan, an ultimate goal that had been laid out for tens of thousands of years. Since the Demon League had been established, everyone was well equipped. Naturally, everyone started to wage war and unify the demon race. Actually, at that time, the demon realm's demon plane was filled with heroes. Many tribes had their own leaders. Our father still had the title of Demon Emperor, but we didn't have actual authority. For example, the Green Dragon and Black Dragon lineages of our race were outside of the Demon League, not listening to orders. We fought and conquered them one by one. At first, we targeted the Green Dragon and Black Dragon lineages. The dragon race was the first to assert its authority without any restraints. It was probably then that I began to be obsessed with power and had 120% faith in the Phoenix Emperor. One day after many years, the entire demon plane was finally unified. I truly became the ruler of the demon race, the ruler of all races. It was also then that our fathers passed away one by one. They saw with their own eyes that we'd unified the demon race. They left very contented, very happy, very relieved. Before my father died, he held my hand and said, "Little God, I've always thought that you wouldn't be able to achieve anything great, but I didn't expect that out of all my sons, the one who was the most promising and accomplished the greatest thing was actually you." I was very happy, very surprised. Father passed away with a smile. The expression on the Demon Emperor's face was indescribable. If he knew now, that his son had been played by the Phoenix Emperor like a fool for so long and so thoroughly, I wonder how he would feel. The memories of the Demon Emperor in front of him began to flow again, constantly changing the scenes. However, neither Yun Yang nor the 5 great elders of the Dragon Clan were in the mood to watch these images. Their entire minds were immersed in the Demon Emperor's narration, enveloped in an inexplicable chill. Until all of the older generation have passed away, the Demon Emperor looked despondent as he said, "We began to divide the territories. The Phoenix Emperor suggested that we're all rulers of our respective races, the rulers of our own races. We're no longer children. It's not appropriate for us to gather together again. It's easy to cause trouble if we're too far away from our own races. Therefore, it's time for us to enjoy the world." Everyone thought that this made sense, so from then on, everyone separated and no longer gathered together. After that, the wolf race, which was the most famous among the fortune tellers, suddenly erupted in rebellion for some reason. The Wolf Emperor was killed in the chaos, then the army was mobilized and swiftly pacified the internal strife of the wolf race. However, the wolf race couldn't avoid disappearing from the demon race. After that, the peacock race, which could predict the future, also met with a problem. This went on for tens of thousands of years. Many races experienced various kinds of disturbances before their entire race was wiped out. Back then, the 9-tailed white, the 9-lives cat, and the 9-lives cat's military advisor, Bai Yi, felt that there might be a reason for so many races to be wiped out one after another. They came to me to tell me about this, saying that there might be some unknown bad news. Most of the races that disappeared had some innate abilities, like being able to see the future, predict the future, or predict the future, or predict the future. Especially with the extinction of these clans, many of the records and ancient books left behind by these clans have also disappeared without a trace. There was another time, the Dragon Clan's secret grounds, treasure vaults, and warehouses. Wait a minute, a dozen secret places where things were stored, as well as. There was a fire that burned out of nowhere, and all the historical sites were burned to the ground. The Fox Emperor was the first to feel that something was wrong. It was too strange. So he came to me and asked, "Is there a conspiracy to destroy the demon race's legacy?" There were many strange things in this, and the 9-tailed white asked me to be careful of the people around me. But Why would I care about this at that time? I called the Phoenix Emperor over to discuss it. We discussed for a long time, but there was no progress. However, the Phoenix Emperor suggested that in order to prevent the legacy from being lost, the major races should send the ancient books to the Demon Palace. It would be easy to preserve them, so that they wouldn't do it properly. Moreover, the Phoenix Emperor suggested that in order to avoid being led astray again, he was willing to take charge of this matter. Why would I care about such small matters? This matter was naturally given to the Phoenix Emperor to take charge of. This matter went on for a full 10 years. The ancient books of the various races were all sent to the Demon Palace. And that strange thing never happened again. The nine-tailed wight was also relieved, and said to me at that time, "Your Majesty, our brothers are all outside, and now that the world has been settled, we should be of one heart and one mind, and work together for the great cause. Now, the most taboo thing is for the general to be slandered when he is outside." He made me pay attention. But at that time, I felt that I was wise and mighty, far ahead of my ancestors. How would I listen to him? And after that, about a few years later, there was suddenly a rumor that the son of the nine-tailed wight, the nine-tailed jade, had the appearance of being the common lord of the demon clan, and would replace him in the future. The rumor was very true. Moreover, the son of the nine-tailed wight did indeed have the extraordinary aura that the nine-tailed wight had when she was young. I was very angry about this. Was that the heart of a disloyal subject? The Phoenix Emperor suggested that as long as the Fox clan stayed away from the center of the demon realm, it would be fine, so I sent the nine-tailed wight's Fox clan away from the Fox clan's fief and stationed at the foot of the Blood Soul Mountain. I believe that from then on, the nine-tailed wight began to be disappointed in me. Then, there was the matter of the Nine Lives Cat's military advisor, White Shirt, was suddenly tortured to death by my son. I remember that I was very angry at that time. We were all old brothers, and that White Shirt was even one of the 3 great sages of the demon realm, as well as the Phoenix Emperor and the nine-tailed wight. How could he have died in such a tragic way? Especially since there were too many puzzling things about it. Not to mention other things, just based on his cultivation, wit, and methods, he was not someone that my son could control in any aspect. How could he be captured without putting up a fight, and finally be tortured to death? I believed that he had countless ways to solve that crisis. Yet, he died so carelessly. I didn't have time to investigate before the Nine Lives Cat went crazy. He slaughtered my palace and killed my crown prince. The demon emperor sighed deeply. Thus, the Nine Lives Cat was imprisoned by me. For the first time, we brothers had a complete falling out. It was probably from then on that the Phoenix Emperor suddenly proposed the strategy of world annihilation. The Phoenix Emperor repeatedly expressed that all the arrangements now were useless. We should activate the strategy of world annihilation and sacrifice billions of demonic spirits in exchange for boundless power, using the most direct method to break through the Blood Soul Mountain and march into the bound of universe. He even brought out all the records regarding the strategy of world annihilation. A chill ran down Yin Yang's spine. He could only feel a chill creeping up his spine. This was a step-by-step scheme. Now, it seemed that the Demon Emperor was muddle-headed. However, even if it was another Demon Emperor, could the Phoenix Emperor really not succeed? This chapter of 7,400 could be considered an outburst. He did not unravel it because the entire scheme would not look good if it was unraveled. That was why he had waited until now to write it. However, he really could not take it anymore. It was too late today, and the ghost would have to sleep until the afternoon tomorrow. If I'm not in a good condition tomorrow, I'll take a break and inform everyone in advance. Chapter 15:11. If I persevere, even if I don't write 9,000, I can still write 5,000 to 6,000. But I don't dare to stay up late anymore. My wife is joking with me. "You're so timid now. You look like you're afraid of death." But I'm filled with emotions. There's an indescribable feeling. Indeed, when I was young, I just had to give it my all and do my best. I once posted a chapter saying, "Everyone has one life, and only one life." When others don't dare to fight, I will. Why? Because I have no way out. If I fight to my death, I'll be on the news. If I don't fight to my death, we'll live a good life. I've been writing for 10 years, and I've been pulling all-nighters for 5 of those years. Now, I really don't dare to do it anymore. The book has reached the last plot. I don't ask for too much detail in my writing. But, please allow me to finish writing while taking care of my body. Sorry, brothers. I'm taking a day off for I am the Supreme. I won't stay up late today. I'm typing. Please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 15:12. Executing the apocalyptic strategy would easily result in the death of billions of lives. It's too cruel. Even as a demon emperor, I don't wish for so many people to die at once. However, when I wanted to discuss it with my brothers, I was shocked to realize that I've not been in contact with them for a long time. I've offended many of my brothers inadvertently. For example, the Rock Emperor. It was just a small matter, but I felt offended and chased him out of Demon Imperial City with cold words. The Tiger Emperor came to explain for the Cat Emperor, but I vented my anger on him, accusing him of colluding with the tiger and the cat, saying that he could no longer enter Demon Imperial City if he wasn't summoned. I scolded him on the spot. The Eagle Emperor came to explain for the Nine-Tailed White, but I scolded him and he left without looking back. As for those brothers with special abilities, they've long disappeared. Then, I had a bunch of things. For a long time, everyone thought that I was afraid of the 9 lives, so I didn't mention it. They didn't know that this has always been the thing that puzzled me. How could such a thing happen? Every night, I dream about it. Bai Yi is one of the 3 wise men of the demon race and was once the military advisor of millions of troops. How could he have a conflict with my son for no reason? Although my son is immature, he has always kept a respectful distance from elders like Bai Yi, not daring to provoke them. How could he have done such a crazy thing? How could my son not know Bai Yi's daughter and daughter-in-law? They've always gathered together, so why didn't this happen before? The bizarre turn of events, the bizarre deaths. And then there's the sudden outburst of thunderous rage from the 9 lives. They didn't ask what was right or wrong, and then slaughtered their way into the imperial palace. Yin Yang interrupted, "Since your majesty already has doubts, why didn't you investigate it?" The spirit demon emperor nodded his head, but then shook his head. How is it that I have never thought of investigating clearly, but when I wanted to investigate, I then remembered that the Shaohuan who was famous for its divination and the peacock who predicted the future had already been extinct for a long time. At that moment, I was unable to find out where to start. In addition, I had the mentality of being the leader of the spirit demon race, and always felt that I was the emperor. Even if the emperor was in the wrong, as an official, I should not leave any leeway and reprimand him for his wrongdoings. Also, the Phoenix Monarch has always been investigating this matter. He once told me that he suspects that there's something fishy going on. He has never given up on the investigation. With the wisest person, the Phoenix Monarch, investigating this matter, I am naturally at ease. At this time, 2 streams of tears flowed down from the demon sovereign's eyes. Back then, when I became the leader of the demon clan, I made a solemn promise to all my brothers that we will share weal and woe together, never forsake each other. So it was I who forgot the promise that year. This is karma, karma, karma. After the repeated failures in the Crimson Soul Mountain, basically, for every failure, the Phoenix Monarch would bring it up again, and again, and again. My patience grew thin. However, about 10,000 years ago, the Condor Emperor of the Condor clan presented a plan. It was to capture the Bound of Universe's human martial artists and absorb the chi of vitality of the human race to extract the Bound of Universe's providence. Although it would take a long time, it would be enough to destroy the Bound of Universe's barrier. I know that the Phoenix Monarch has made similar arrangements. Therefore, I asked the Phoenix Monarch to carry out this plan first. As long as it doesn't require the sacrifice of billions of people, it's acceptable to expend other resources and time. the Phoenix Monarch did not obstruct this plan like before and agreed readily. Under my suggestion, the Phoenix Monarch offered some of the results that he had already achieved. However, not long after that, the Condor Emperor's clan rebelled, and even his clan, the Condor clan, was annihilated by the army. The spirit demon sovereign sighed sadly. Yin Yang gritted his teeth as he listened. All these years, you've never noticed the Phoenix Monarch's disloyalty? Yin Yang blurted out in surprise. How slow could this spirit demon sovereign be? His wings had been wiped clean and he had been deserted by his people, yet he was still so high and mighty that he did not notice it? No. The spirit demon sovereign chuckled self-deprecatingly. Even when our opinions differ, the Phoenix Monarch will not quarrel with me or fight with me. He will give me face, even though he will always find a chance to persuade me after the matter is over, to let me know that what he said makes sense and to preserve my dignity. Isn't this how a good brother should behave? The corners of Yun Yang's lips twitched, speechless for a moment. When their opinions were the same, they would act on it immediately. When their opinions were different, they would wait for him to persuade them and then act according to the Phoenix Monarch's wishes? If that was the case, everything was the Phoenix Monarch's will. Then, after so many years, what kind of spirit demon sovereign are you? You're really a puppet. Even the most severe henpecked husband that I've seen isn't as severe as you. Could it be the legendary henpecked husband? Or perhaps he was a henpecked husband? However, even if he was henpecked, he knew that he was a henpecked husband. Yet, the spirit demon sovereign did not know about it. That was impressive. The spirit demon sovereign looked awkward as he explained reluctantly, the Phoenix Monarch is usually very respectful to me and gives me face. His attitude is very good, cough, cough. Yin Yang was speechless. He made you the spirit demon sovereign, but he also made you a loner. Everything is done according to his instructions and he doesn't have to bear any responsibility. Everything goes according to his wishes. If it were me, I'd be happy too. What's so strange about having a good attitude? Occasionally, a Condor Emperor would offer you a plan without understanding the situation and his clan would be annihilated. Those with special abilities would be eliminated one by one. The wise ones of the demon clan would either be killed or banished. All in all, anyone who was a hindrance to the world annihilation strategy, a thorn in the side, or even someone who might obstruct the world annihilation strategy. Who else could you listen to other than me? However, the results of the Eagle Emperor's plan were too slow. Furthermore, it consumed too much manpower, resources, and money. It was probably from that time that the Eagle Emperor's plan was carried out. On the other hand, according to the Phoenix Emperor's words, the demon race began to carry out the Eagle Emperor's plan. Those who disobeyed or committed crimes were all arrested and awaited their execution. In reality, they were waiting for the world annihilation strategy. The spirit demon sovereign sighed deeply. Yin Yang wanted to laugh out loud. What kind of policy did the demon clan follow? The policy of the strong being the king. Arresting those who disobeyed and committed crimes? Then there wouldn't be many of the demon clan left who weren't arrested. The spirit demon sovereign's memory flashed through his mind. Speaking of the world annihilation strategy, we'll have to wait until Supreme Cloud causes trouble in the demon clan. The spirit demon sovereign looked at Yun Yang. Yun Yang rubbed his nose. Did this have anything to do with him? The soul-devouring trees that he had caused trouble for the demon clan. It seemed like he had caused a lot of trouble for the demon clan. All right, I'll take the blame. What else can I do? Then, the world annihilation strategy was activated, according to the records. The spirit demon sovereign's expression was a little twisted. According to the records provided by the Phoenix Monarch, the spirit demon sovereign prayed to the heavens and the demonic forefather, willing to exchange his own safety for the prosperity of the demon clan. Yun Yang was surprised again. Your Majesty, you're just going to let it happen. Don't you feel that something's wrong? How clear was it? It was to exchange his own safety for the prosperity of the demon clan? It couldn't have been more explicit, could it? The spirit demon sovereign was embarrassed. I thought it was just a formality then. I've said similar things countless times. Yun Yang was speechless. What he said made too much sense, he actually had nothing to say. Back then, His Majesty the old Emperor of Yutong had almost always said that he was willing to exchange his own safety for the country's stability. Therefore, it was natural for those in power to say such empty words. How could he have known that it was for real this time? Saying that he was going to exchange his own safety for the prosperity of the demon clan meant that he was really going to die. Only now do I understand. All of the Phoenix Monarch's plans are to pave the way and prepare for the world annihilation strategy. The spirit demon sovereign said sadly, my mind is clear now. If my guess is correct, after the world annihilation strategy is activated, there will only be one beneficiary, and this beneficiary can only be the Phoenix Monarch. Perhaps, he has a way to extract the power of the world annihilation strategy for his own use. Yun Yang was speechless. It had already come to this, and there was still a perhaps. That was for sure. At the same time, there will also be one who will suffer the backlash and be annihilated. If not for me, I believe the Phoenix Monarch wouldn't have dared to go all the way. He knows that this boundless power is beyond the endurance of anyone in this world. No one will be able to withstand it. However, with me acting as a sucker, the Phoenix Monarch will be able to sit back and relax, and she can simply accept the benefits. This benefit is absolutely not limited to the destruction of the Blood Soul Mountain. There will definitely be great benefits to the Phoenix itself. Yin Yang and the few dragon saints nodded silently. White Dragon Great Elder said bitterly, the Phoenix Monarch's current power is already invincible in this world. Although the power he has displayed seems to be full of loopholes, it has actually exceeded the limits of this world. It is the legendary ultimate power, unstoppable. The spirit demon sovereign looked up at the sky, speechless for a long time. After a while, he said softly, the Phoenix Monarch's greatest wish in this life is to find the Phoenix clan's long-lost orthodox legacy, to transcend this world and become a true Phoenix. This is the highest secret of the Demon Clan. The Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan are both descendants of the divine beasts. Our two clans have always been proud of this. But now, the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan have insulted the name of the divine beasts. They are no different from the ordinary Demon Clan. It's just that their physical bodies are a little stronger and their talents are a little stronger. The Phoenix Clan's Nirvana fire is said to be able to burn anything and has great power, but in fact, it has not reached the pinnacle of purity. The reason is that it lacks the true core legacy. In other words, the current Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan are basically the bloodlines that have been truly banished or abandoned by the divine beasts of the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan. And the Phoenix Monarch has always wanted to restore his identity as a member of the Phoenix Clan, wanting to return to the real clan. He has told me this wish more than 1,000 times. Chapter 1513. In fact, it's not just the Dragon and Phoenix bloodlines. The Rock Emperor's bloodline has similar ancient records as well. We're all exiled, our bloodline sealed, the Demon Emperor said. Only by surpassing the limits of this world and roaming the starry sky will there be a chance to return to the clan. This is also the power of extreme heaven that Elder White Dragon mentioned just now. Its power is beyond this world. Yin Yang sucked in a deep breath. Yin Yang knew more about the ultimate divine power than the Demon Emperor. When Aunt May appeared in the Tianxian continent, she had mentioned this ultimate divine power. When Shangguan Lingxiu learned from Aunt May's husband had given a detailed description of this. This power did not only refer to the limit of a certain world or era. For example, if the Bound of Universe's pinnacle experts appeared in the Tianxian continent and wanted to destroy it, they could do it with a wave of their hands. They could also be like Yun Yang, restraining their power and doing things calmly. This was a manifestation of the ultimate divine power. However, Yin Yang was strong in the Tianxian continent, but he was still not strong enough. Only someone as strong as Auntie May, who could only stay there for a short period of time even when he had retracted his aura, would be considered strong enough. Even in the Bound of Universe, he could destroy it with a wave of his hand. He was almost at the level of the Monarch of Bloody Soul Mountain. Although the Phoenix Emperor had obtained great benefits from the world annihilation strategy, most of the power of the world annihilation strategy had been used to destroy the Monarch of the Blood Soul Mountain. The portion that was given to the Phoenix Emperor was relatively limited. Although it was enough for the Phoenix Emperor to break through her original limits and even improve greatly, it was not enough for her to completely dominate the world. The Phoenix Emperor obviously knows the true secret of the strategy of world annihilation, the pros and cons. The Demon Emperor turned his head abruptly. So, he's plotted for so many years. He doesn't want to be the Demon Emperor because the real sacrifice of the strategy of world annihilation is the Demon Emperor himself. He wants power, but he can't do it without power. He's lied to me all my life, used me all my life, and in the end, I died because of his plan. This is an irreconcilable blood feud. Supreme Cloud, elders, I know I'm going to die. But I beg you, kill the Phoenix Emperor. The expression on the Demon Emperor's face was indescribable. It wasn't anger, it wasn't despair, and it wasn't dispirited. He said that he hated the Phoenix Empress, but when he mentioned the Phoenix Empress, there was still a complicated look in his eyes. It seemed that his brother was still by his side, giving him advice and suggestions. Memories constantly flashed before his eyes. The little dragon and little phoenix gradually grew up and became two kings, standing at the peak of the entire demon race. Bit by bit, they betrayed the pain in his heart. He was the most trusted, the closest, and he thought that he was the best friend in this world. However, the other party did not take him seriously at all. His only use was to be a scapegoat, a scapegoat. Every bit of growth was pushing him one step further on the path of a puppet. In the end, it was completely fixed. The Demon Emperor murmured to himself, I trusted him, loved him, respected him, and did everything I could to cooperate with him. Until today, in this lifetime, I've always thought of him as my best friend, my best brother. But he used me, deceived me, toyed with me, and trampled on my emotions. He treated me like a fool, a tool, for the rest of his life. He used me to achieve all of his goals. He made the apocalyptic strategy backfire and drained all of my life force. He drained my essence, my soul, everything I had, everything in this life and in the future, all of it. I won't have a future, I won't have an afterlife. If we don't meet today, it'll be an eternal farewell. We'll never see each other again. The Demon Emperor sighed. I've been tricked by him for so long. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that I've been tricked the most in history, but I'm extremely impressed by his intelligence and resourcefulness. I have nothing to say. However, the more scheming he is, the more ingenious his schemes are, and the more determined he is, the more I hate him. The Demon Emperor's expression kept changing. He sighed and gritted his teeth at times. His emotions were fluctuating, almost indescribable with words. Yin Yang did not mock him anymore. It was not that it was useful or that he could not bear to do it, but Yin Yang asked himself a question. If he had been tricked by a brother, he acknowledged, even with Yin Yang's composure, he could not help but feel a chill run down his spine. Whether it was himself or anyone else, when the truth was finally revealed, there was no other way or time to salvage the situation. Their emotions would not be any better than the Demon Emperor's. I've also thought about the future of the demon race and the human race. The Demon Emperor suddenly changed the topic. Yin Yang was bewildered. He had long given up on the Demon Emperor's intelligence. You, a fool who had been toyed with for tens of thousands of years, almost your entire life, can actually think about the future of the human race and the demon race? Why don't you save it? The Demon Emperor wore a strange expression on his face as he said in a low voice, the battle outside is still going on. No matter what, billions of lives will be lost in this war. No matter how many people are killed or how many demons are killed, after a war, be it the demon race or the human race, it's inevitable that they'll suffer a great loss of strength. Even if the demon race can invade the bound of universe, the process of conquest will be a long one. It might even be a never-ending, chaotic mess. The Demon Emperor's tone gradually turned gloomy as he said with an unconcealable tiredness, if this chaotic mess continues, the outcome of the future will definitely end with the annihilation of one of the parties. The demon race and the human race, with this apocalyptic strategy as the starting point, will never be able to coexist peacefully. Yin-Yang had to admit this. That was the truth. Once the demon race and the sea race crossed the final barrier they had erected and brought the power of the demon race into the bound of universe, the two sides would be irreconcilable enemies. They would not be able to coexist and could only end with the complete annihilation of one side. Whether it was the demon race's retreat or the human race's plea for peace, it was unrealistic. The fundamental reason why the two races could not coexist peacefully was very simple. The simplest and most direct way for two races that were originally incompatible to coexist was to intermarry, achieving a state of mutual benefit. Only then could they develop together. As for the demon race and the human race, other than being physically different, they had a feud that was difficult to coexist. There was no possibility of intermarriage at all. Even if the demon race with a high cultivation base could transform into a human, their original form could not be changed. It was difficult to determine whether the legend of fox spirits and carp spirits turning into humans and marrying each other was true in other worlds, but in the bound of universe, it was absolute nonsense. Of course, if you insisted on shedding your demon body after undergoing the 1,000 tribulations refinement to become a real human being, that would be another matter entirely. However, there had never been anyone in the bound of universe who could truly reach such a state. Yin-Yang had other plans for this. The fox race and the cat race could not tolerate the demon race, and they were already extremely weak. Yin-Yang had taken them in, allowed them to recuperate, and given them a certain living space. To a large extent, it was because of Yin-Yang's control over the Nine Supremes' palace and Yin-Yang's importance to the bound of universe that he could make an exception and allow humans and demons to coexist. When he reached an agreement with Emperor Rock and the others, there were also faint signs of human and demon coexisting. However, this coexistence required two major prerequisites. First, the situation of both sides had to be that the humans were stronger and the demons were weaker. The humans had to take the initiative in the war. Second, it was the ultimate battle between the two races on the Blood-Soul Mountain. If the humans won, they would also severely injure the dragon race and phoenix race so that the two races would no longer have absolute authority over the demon race as a whole. These two aspects were indispensable. Without either of them, it would be impossible to talk about the future. However, in this situation, the ultimate battle on the Blood-Soul Mountain had begun. From the beginning, the humans had fallen into an absolute disadvantage. How could they still have the thought of coexisting peacefully? Also, the demon race's development was too fast. A 2-year-old human couldn't even walk steadily. A 2-year-old demon of the tiger race could already summon the wind and rain. How could they compare? Back then, the existence of the Blood-Soul Mountain was an appropriate solution for the humans, but it wasn't the best one, the Demon Emperor said. If we can make the Blood-Soul Mountain a little taller, a little bigger, and a little sturdier, we can make the demon race or the humans despair completely. Only then can we say that we can live in peace and never have a war. Yin-Yang chuckled. That's impossible. It's not a good thing for the demon race or the human race if we really lose the pressure. I've long planned for this. If the demon race wins, I'll only be busy with the human race's counterattack. However, if the humans win, there will naturally be a new method. I'm confident that it will be more effective than the Blood-Soul Mountain of the past. The Demon Emperor asked curiously, "May I ask what method it is?" "I'm willing to listen to Supreme Cloud's advice." Then, he reacted quickly and chuckled. "I wanted to provide you with a feasible direction, and this method is the price of a deal for you to help me." I didn't expect Supreme Cloud to already have a solution, then I won't say anything more. He thought about it for a long time and said, "Other than the Divine Ocean Staff, I have nothing else to exchange for." The 5 dragon elders felt an inexplicable sense of sadness when they heard this. The Demon Emperor, the leader of the demon race, could not even come up with the so-called exchange for someone else's help at this critical moment. No wonder he would consider the future of the human race and the demon race. This was the Demon Emperor looking for some last bargaining chip for his pride. It was a pity that his brain was not made for such considerations. Yin Yang said seriously, "Your Majesty, please don't worry about the so-called exchange price. Even if we didn't come to any agreement, I still have to kill the Phoenix Emperor. He's not just your Majesty's personal enemy now, but the entire bound of universe's public enemy. As long as there's a way to deal with him, I won't allow him to live." The Demon Emperor chuckled bitterly. "No, you don't understand what I mean. I'm thinking, if I'm the one who entrusted this task to you and I've paid a sufficient price, then, when you kill him, you can treat it as if he died because of my entrustment. My resentment towards this chi has reached its peak. If I don't do anything, I won't be able to die in peace. Even if he's the world's public enemy and not my personal enemy, if he dies in your hands after I entrusted him to me, it'll be different from dying in your hands normally. At least, it'll be different for me." The Demon Emperor's gaze turned melancholic as he stared at the scene in front of him. He murmured, "I don't have much time left." He said as if he was talking in his sleep, "The 5 of you, including the dragon race, if you're willing to avenge me after I'm gone, follow Supreme Cloud. If not, if you're willing to follow the Phoenix Emperor, it's up to you. Thinking back on the past, I've actually forced all of you your entire lives. Now, I don't want to force you anymore. Consider this a little repentance from someone who's about to die." The 5 elders' voices were choked. "Your Majesty," the Demon Emperor smiled faintly and waved his hand to stop them from speaking. He said softly, "It's only now that I'm here that I've suddenly realized that my happiest days were actually those times. No one was willing to be with me. I was the only one who was arrogant but had no ambition. It seemed lonely, but it was true freedom, true self. After those days ended, I was deceived and willingly became a puppet. I've been proud of myself for so many years. Now that I'm about to vanish, I've suddenly realized. In the past, the days when no one deceived you like this were the truly good days, the days when you were happy and comfortable. If someone kept you in the dark, then you'd only be a puppet at the mercy of others, even if you'd achieved unparalleled success and supreme authority. I don't want to go out, I don't want to step on the stairway to heaven anymore." With a wave of his hand, the divine staff of ocean suppression appeared in the Demon Emperor's hand. He turned sideways and passed it to Yun Yang. Without looking at him, he said, "Supreme Cloud, please take care of the Phoenix Emperor. Whether you can do it or not, this is what I've entrusted to you. All of you, leave." The Demon Emperor smiled in the illusory realm. "I'm leaving as well. I don't need anyone to accompany me on this last journey." Yin Yang, the great elder of the Dragon Clan, and the others could already feel the instability of the illusory realm. It was obvious that the Demon Emperor's demonic energy was reaching its limit. However, if the Demon Emperor did not leave, he would definitely vanish along with the illusory realm, becoming one with the world. The 5 elders knelt down at the same time, tears streaming down their cheeks. "Your Majesty, we shall send you off." The Demon Emperor waved his hand and floated forward, murmuring to himself, "Phoenix Emperor. I'll be waiting for you." As he floated forward, his body dissipated bit by bit. The illusory realm was crumbling and twisting as well. Within moments, half of it had already collapsed. Yin Yang and the 5 Dragon Clan elders felt their vision blur, and for a moment, they were out of the illusory realm. They had returned to the real battlefield once more. Around them, the Dragon Clan's stairway to heaven was still lined up neatly, obviously waiting for the Demon Emperor's return. The 5 elders' faces were filled with tears as they cried out in grief, "His Majesty has passed away." Just as they spoke, the entire battlefield seemed to fall silent for a moment. The Demon Emperor of a generation, the world's strongest expert, had actually died so silently. All the Dragon Clan and all the demons felt as if they had been struck by lightning. They could not believe what their ears had just heard. In the distance, there was a ripple in the air. The Phoenix Emperor, who had disappeared somewhere, had reappeared on the battlefield. However, his gaze was filled with indescribable complexity. Looking at the tall stairway to heaven and the empty throne, his eyes were glistening as he murmured, Your Majesty." The Black Dragon Elder turned his head abruptly and looked at the Phoenix Emperor. His eyes were suddenly filled with endless rage as he said coldly, "Your Majesty Phoenix Emperor. Do you know how His Majesty Demon Emperor died?" The Phoenix Emperor's expression was one of shock, while the other 4 elders looked at the Phoenix Emperor with widened eyes. The Phoenix Emperor stood high in the sky, giving off the feeling that he was at a loss and out of his wits. The Phoenix Emperor had never been someone who dared to do things in fear and avoid the truth. No matter what it was, he would face it proactively, face it head-on, and solve it. Facing all difficulties head-on had always been the Phoenix Emperor's creed in life. There was nothing that he could not solve. This was the source of the Phoenix Emperor's absolute confidence. However, when it came to scheming against the Demon Emperor, the Phoenix Emperor had chosen to escape at the first instance. Back then, when the Demon Emperor had arrived on the battlefield and attacked Shangguan Lingxiu, he had expended what little vitality he had, causing him to feel that something was amiss. When he looked at the Phoenix Emperor, seeking an explanation and an answer, the Phoenix Emperor had escaped, which was rare. This was because he had seen the Demon Emperor's gaze then. Other than confusion, there was also panic and fear, as well as a plea for help. He had hoped that his lifelong brother would think of a solution, find the cause, and solve the problem for him. What was going on? The Demon Emperor had been confused and fearful then, but he had still trusted the Phoenix Emperor. If the Phoenix Emperor had still been able to maintain his composure then, returning to the Demon Emperor's side at once and coming up with a few acceptable reasons, such as the backlash from wielding the sea-suppressing divine staff, some forbidden skill cast by the human race, or even the possible existence of the strategy of annihilation that no one knew about. The Demon Emperor would have accepted it all. Even if he still had his doubts, he would have continued to trust the Phoenix Emperor because he was wary of the demon race's power. He would have even entrusted the demon race's affairs to the Phoenix Emperor when he was certain that he would die. Faced with such a gaze, the Phoenix Emperor's first thought was that he could not face it and had a mental breakdown. Therefore, he had chosen to disappear, escaping without a trace. He wanted to avoid that gaze. Then, he had turned invisible in the air, observing the situation where the Demon Emperor's gaze could not reach. Every time the Demon Emperor asked, "Where's the Phoenix Emperor? Where's the Phoenix Emperor? Why isn't the Phoenix Emperor here yet?" He heard every single word. The Demon Emperor's voice, from trust, anticipation, to disappointment, to fear, to anger, to rage, and finally to hatred. The entire process was summed up by the Demon Emperor's clenched teeth. The more it was like this, the more the Phoenix Emperor did not dare to come out and face it. Yes, he had achieved his goal. He now had the foundation of a starry sky expert. As long as he digested these benefits, he would be able to break through the starry sky and travel the world, reaching the realm that he had always dreamed of. This world could no longer restrain him. But the Demon Emperor was dead. He had used the strategy of annihilation to soar into the sky. The Demon Emperor had been reduced to ashes because of the strategy of annihilation. It was a completely different ending, a world of difference. This ending was not surprising at all. Tens of thousands of years ago, the Phoenix Emperor had already thought of it. He had even looked forward to it for a long time and had imagined this scene too many times. But today, he had truly seen the Demon Emperor, who he had used for his entire life but still trusted and close to him, fall under his ultimate goal. The Phoenix Emperor, who should have been prepared, could not help but feel a heart-wrenching pain. Faced with the Black Dragon Great Elder's interrogation, the Phoenix Emperor had nothing to say. Initially, he had too many excuses he could use to shirk his responsibility. With a few words, he could shift all the hatred onto the human race and onto Supreme Cloud. He could even accuse the 5 Dragon Elders of being traitors and colluding with Yun Yang to murder the Demon Emperor. This was a part of the plan, and the Phoenix Emperor had rehearsed it countless times in his heart. As long as he spoke, there would be no loopholes, no loopholes. Other than the 5 elders and a few of the Demon Emperor's loyal followers, the other demons would not doubt him. They would only trust him unconditionally. The Phoenix Emperor had this confidence. However, he could not say anything at this moment. It was easy to deceive others, but difficult to deceive oneself. The hardest person to deceive in this world was himself. Chapter 15:14. The great elder of the Black Dragon clan did not see the Phoenix Emperor's response. He took another step forward, his eyes glaring like he was about to devour someone. "Your Majesty, you haven't answered my question. How did His Majesty die?" From this sentence, all the demons present felt that something was wrong. It was extremely unusual. All of their gazes were fixed on the Phoenix Emperor, clearly waiting for her reply. A black aura suddenly appeared on the Phoenix Emperor's face. He raised his head and looked at the 5 elders whose eyes seemed to be spitting fire. He actually regained his usual composure and said indifferently, "For the world extermination policy, for the demon race for all eternity, His Majesty the Demon Emperor sacrificed himself." Could it be that His Majesty didn't explain to you the reason, this indisputable reality? At this point, the Phoenix Emperor did not choose to defend himself with words but spoke the truth in a different way. Although there was a considerable difference between what he said and the actual truth, it was still passable. At least, not a single word was a lie. The Demon Emperor had really died for the world annihilation stratagem. The Black Dragon Elder's eyes were about to split open. "But you hid the key point. You didn't mention the fact that the Demon Emperor would die if the world annihilation stratagem was implemented. This is the indisputable truth." This sentence caused an uproar in the crowd, because this sentence led the nature of the entire matter to another level. The world annihilation stratagem was carried out at the cost of the Demon Emperor's life, the backlash. You knew this, but His Majesty didn't. His Majesty didn't know this key point at all. It was obviously you who plotted against him. It was you. You caused His Majesty's death. At this moment, although the entire battlefield was still in an intense battle, the demon race's offensive power was gradually decreasing. The pressure on the humans was greatly reduced. The reason was not only because of the Black Dragon Elder's words. The main reason was that the powerhouses of the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan had withdrawn from the battle almost en masse. As the saint powerhouses of the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan withdrew from the battle, the demi-saints, saint lords, and supreme lords of the two clans began to move, gathering together. This way, the combat power of the two clans could not be seen on the battlefield. Naturally, the pressure on the humans was reduced. However, the top combat power of the humans, such as Ji Lingxi, Dongfang Haoran, and the other sovereigns, had also been reduced in attack. It was Yin Yang who had warned the demon race of a new wave of internal strife at once. He did not want to provoke the demon race at this time and have them share a common enemy. It would be fine as long as the war remained stable. They must not cause any unnecessary trouble and retaliate. Dongfang Haoran and the others were sly and cunning. They knew what he was trying. Even though they did not know the details, they were. Dongfang Haoran and the Demon Clan. They, Dragon, Clan, Phoenix Clan, Dragon, and Clan, Yun, Dragon, and Clan, Yun, and Clan. At this moment, the Dragon tribe and the Phoenix tribe seemed to be in a stalemate. Moreover, after the Black Dragon Elder's words, the atmosphere between the two tribes became more and more subtle, and they were gradually showing signs of being at each other's throats. The Phoenix Emperor killed the Dragon Emperor? The accusation would have been ridiculous and laughable if it had been any other day. Who did not know that the Phoenix Emperor was the Dragon Emperor's best brother? To put it bluntly, in the hearts of the demon experts, even if the Dragon Queen had betrayed the Dragon Emperor and brought him that thing, it couldn't be the Phoenix Emperor who had betrayed the Dragon Emperor. What happened to the promise of being good brothers for life? However, the Demon Emperor's death was an established fact. The news of his death was spread by the 5 elders of the dragon race, so it could not be false. Elder Black Dragon had even questioned the Phoenix Emperor, and the fact that the Phoenix Emperor did not refute it was almost as if he had admitted it. The dragon race and the Phoenix race were doubtful and cautious. If His Majesty really killed the Dragon Emperor, the dragon race will definitely seek revenge. We, the phoenix race, the other races may be afraid of this so-called strongest race of the demon race, but that does not include us, the phoenix race. There was only one word for it. The sea race, who had witnessed the dramatic turn of events with their own eyes, including the Emperor of the Sea, felt that they had been F***ed. The sea race was F***ed. They did not know what had happened, but they could see the demon race experts retreating from the battlefield and gathering in a certain direction. Brothers, look at the situation now. We are still fighting, okay? We are still dying, okay? Tens of thousands of lives are being lost every blink of an eye, okay? But our allies, the most elite forces, have retreated and are facing each other somewhere. What the F***ck is going on? In the beginning, the demon race's combat power was not as expected. The tiger race, leopard race, rock race, and the crane race did not have any combat power to fight. The Emperor of the Sea race and the other higher-ups were very dissatisfied. In such a big battle, your strong races did not come out? You actually hid your main forces? Are you treating us as cannon fodder? But at least there were the elites of the dragon race and phoenix race to hold the fort. Together with the combat power of the other races, the overall strength of the demon race was still considerable. In addition, the Blood Soul Mountain's boundless power collapsed in an instant, and the demon race joined forces with the sea race to suppress the human race. Even when the Xian beasts joined the battle and launched a series of self-destructive attacks, they only managed to suppress the human race's momentum. So the Emperor of the Sea race turned a blind eye and did not pursue the matter. The self-destructive attacks of the Xian beasts could only last for a while. No matter how much Tian Fa and the Saint Beasts were willing to sacrifice themselves, they could not keep sacrificing themselves. As long as the battle continued, they would naturally be able to wear down Tian Fa and the human race's combat power. But after that, as the Demon Emperor and the second batch of the demon race's main forces arrived, the advantage of the battle did not increase. Instead, it took a turn for the worse. First, the so-called strongest demon emperor was defeated by a little girl, and then he retreated from the battlefield. The Emperor of the Sea race felt that something was wrong. Are you F***king going easy on us? Especially when the demon emperor was not the only one retreating. He also brought many of the dragon race's top forces with him. At first glance, one would think that the dragon race was preparing a big move. But in the end, it was really just a decoration. As the dragon race's top forces retreated, the phoenix race also retreated. Then the situation became awkward. The sea race actually became the main force against the human race and the Xian beasts. If not for the fact that the Xian beasts had stopped their self-destructive attacks, the sea race would have suffered heavy casualties. But what the hell was this? Even so, the sea race's casualties still exceeded the total of the previous battles. In fact, it was even calculated in multiples. It was not easy for the 5 elders who followed the Demon Emperor to reappear. They thought that they could finally restart the battle. But who would have thought that even though they reappeared, they still did not join the battle? Could the battle still continue? The sea race's higher-ups roared in their hearts. Your dragon and phoenix race are not joining the battle, and are even in a standoff. All the experts above the Saint Monarch realm are on your side, and the spearhead is pointed at the Phoenix Emperor. What the hell is this? Right now, there was only a large group of demon race trash left on the battlefield, following the sea race's army to deal with the human race's Tian Fa and Saint Beasts. This was 2F***king wrong. Originally, the sea race's role in attacking the Xian Huang race was only to support. This was written in the alliance. It was agreed upon. In fact, when they first entered, the sea race's role was indeed only to support. But now, why did the sea race become the main force of the battle? And the absolute main force? On the side where the dragon and phoenix race were in a standoff, and it should not be called the dragon and phoenix race, but the demon race. On the side of the demon race, countless experts were squeezed together, all of them standing tall and straight, not moving at all. F***ck. The Ocean Emperor cursed angrily. Are you here to attack the Blood Soul Mountain, or are you here to F***king stand as punishment? The Ocean Emperor could not help but be furious. The battle on the Blood Soul Mountain was unprecedentedly tragic. Ever since Tion Fa and the Saint Beasts entered the battle, the number of casualties on their side had been increasing exponentially. Even with the huge numbers of the sea race, they were about to be beaten to a pulp. From the start of this battle, the Turtle Prime Minister of the sea race, the top combat power of the sea race, had died, giving them a strategic advantage. And the Ocean Emperor had not recovered from his heavy injuries, and there were still the side effects of using the forbidden technique. Right now, he only had 40 to 50% of his strength left. The Shark King, Whale King, Sea Snake King, Eel King, Squid King, all of them had the cultivation of a saint, but most of them were only at the beginning stage. In this battlefield, they were not very useful. Even if the sea race still had the upper hand in terms of overall numbers, and even maintained an overwhelming advantage in terms of overall combat power, if their top combat power was not enough, they would only be defeated. After all, in this kind of ultimate battlefield where it was either you die or I die, the top combat power was the key to turning the tide of the battle. On the human side, the four rulers were full of vigor. Any one of them was comparable to the Ocean Emperor in terms of combat power. And after the Ocean Emperor was injured, he was no longer a match for them. In other words, the four rulers were invincible on the battlefield. Wherever they went, they destroyed a whole bunch of enemies. Other than the four rulers, there were also two extremely terrifying female fiends. Not only was he wearing a strange treasured robe that was impervious to all weapons, but he was also holding a terrifying divine weapon that could destroy anything that was touched or grazed by it. It was not easy for them to create an opportunity to attack with their heavy hands, and they even had a protective divine light on their bodies. They were able to directly cause the attack to at least cause serious injuries. How could they fight against such existences? How could they fight against them? There was no solution. And on the human side, there were not only these few. There were also other saint-level and semi-saint experts from the three heavenly palaces. Now that the top combat power of the dragon race and the phoenix race had withdrawn from the battlefield, a very strange situation appeared. In the overall battle situation, the human side was still at a disadvantage, struggling to hold on. They were bathed in blood and fighting hard, and the battle line was in danger. However, in the local battles, the human side had the upper hand in the fight between the higher-ups. Other than entangling the higher-ups of the other side, making it difficult for them to do anything, they would occasionally send out a few waves of people to provide support from all directions. Wherever these people went, the sea folk were like rice fields that had been neatly cut down by a sickle, falling down in patches. They rushed over and killed their way over, reducing the pressure on the human side. Then, they would rush back and kill their way back. Under such crazy consumption, the sea tribe's tide-like attacks were finally stopped. Especially the sea tribe who had rushed to the front to fight with the human side. They died wave after wave. This was because when the seawater came in, there was not much water stored in it. The deepest part was only a few 100 feet deep. When a sage flew over, just the pressure alone was enough to kill all the low-level sea tribe members in the seawater. But as the seawater accumulated and became deeper, the situation of the human experts became more and more disadvantageous. Countless human experts fought in the sky for a long time. Naturally, they were unable to do what they wanted. At a certain time, they had to land to breathe. But at this time, without the help of others, they could only land on the surface of the sea and use the buoyancy of the seawater to breathe. But it was often at this moment that their waist and legs would be entangled by sea snakes and cuttlefish. If they wanted to escape, they had to deal with these first. It was hard, dangerous, and extremely dangerous. This was a defense line that spanned tens of thousands of miles. They also had to leave a few sages to guard the mountain to prevent the sea tribe from destroying the mountain. And these few sages who were guarding the mountain could not be moved. As a result, the pressure on the human side increased. If it was not for the fox queen and cat concubine leading dozens of strong experts to join the battle in time, the situation might have been worse. But the overall advantage of the situation could not relieve the depression in the Ocean Emperor's heart. The most direct feeling he had right now was that he had been framed. He had been set up by the demon clan. They tricked him into coming out in full force. Now, I have suffered heavy casualties here, but you guys are just watching from the side. Is it fun? The Ocean Emperor could not take it anymore. With blood all over his body, he rushed into the sky and roared, "Demon King! What are you doing? Why are you not joining the battle?" The Ocean Emperor was furious. "Demon King! Long Yutian! Come out and answer me." At this time, Dongfang Haoran and Ji Lingxi attacked from the left and right. Although Yun Yang had told them to not excessively provoke the other party with their superior combat power and to focus on stabilizing the overall situation, times had changed. The dragon race and the phoenix race were already in a stalemate, and they were now targeting the Sea Clan. Now, the advantage of this war had gradually shifted to the Sea Clan. If they could defeat Neptune, it would be a further blow to the other party's morale, giving them an additional chance of survival in this perilous situation. This was a matter of stance. It did not matter if they were taking advantage of the other party's precarious situation or not. Dongfang Haoran sneered and said, "Ocean Emperor, what are you yelling for? Are you really stupid? Or are you blind? Can't you see that the demon race has already given up on the battle? This war between humans and demons is just a ploy. The ultimate goal is to destroy the Sea tribe, to kill all of you in one fell swoop and eliminate the threat of the sea once and for all." The Ocean Emperor tried his best to defend, sweat and blood flying everywhere. He roared again, "Long Yutian! Your Majesty Demon King! What the F***ck are you all doing?" He used up all the chi in his dantian and roared again, "Phoenix Emperor! Phoenix Emperor! What are you all doing?" He saw the Phoenix Emperor from afar, so he shouted out. He hoped to get a response. If he did not get one, even if he did not suspect anything, his confidence in winning this battle would inevitably be shaken. In the distance, the Phoenix Emperor's bright yellow figure stood majestically in the air, as if facing a large group of dragon and phoenix race. What was going on? Now that the battle was dangerous, what could not be discussed after the battle? Could they not care about the severity of the situation? The Phoenix Emperor did not even turn his head towards the Ocean Emperor's angry roar, turning a deaf ear to it. In fact, it was not only the Phoenix Emperor. All the demon race that had retreated from the battle, whether it was the dragon race or the phoenix race, so many demon race saints gathered together, did not even turn their heads, completely ignoring it. F***ck, ignoring me? I roared so loudly, even if they were hundreds of miles away, they should be able to hear me. From such a short distance, if it reached your ears, it would at least be like thunder, but it's like you can't hear me. Actually ignoring me? Not even turning his head? F***ck. You did it on purpose, you definitely did it on purpose. The Sea Emperor immediately felt like he could collapse at any time. He was extremely angry, as if he had been fooled. Was this a trap? This was a trap. F***ck, come on. Let's take a break today. The medical report is out. After reading it, I almost wanted to do nothing. Not a single one of them was normal. There were a few that needed to be reviewed. What follicular multiple cysts, what swollen lymph nodes, what triglycerides, what blood sugar, what lipids, what fatty liver. In comparison, the lumbar disc herniation, strain, and cervical vertebrae that I had been fighting all these years were insignificant. The doctor had clearly instructed me to review all of these. Also, I had to find a big hospital for a review. I was devastated, really. I even asked my wife if she could smell the stench on me. Chapter 15:15. The Sea King had broken down. I'm going to die because of you. Playing with me? Demon race, if all of you don't give me an explanation today, I'll teach you a lesson. The Sea King, who was clamoring, almost wanted to cry internally. He watched as his loyal guards stood in front of him one by one. In order to protect him, they were brutally slaughtered. Batches of them rushed forward and died. Countless corpses littered the ground. Yet, they still charged forward without regret and were killed just to reduce some of the pressure on him. As the ruler of the Sea Clan, how could he not be moved? How could he not be grief-stricken? It was not that the Shark King, Whale King, and the rest of the Sea Clansmen did not want to come to his rescue. Each of them fought with their lives, wanting to charge over, but they were blocked by Shangguan Lingxiu, Python Jiu, and Beigong Liuli. Shangguan Lingxiu, in particular, blocked the Sea Clansman by herself. In the end, the Sea King was almost fighting on the Sea Clansmen's corpses. Countless Sea Clansmen's corpses piled up into a small hill around him. Pity the good men of the Sea Clan. The Sea King howled, his eyes wide. Demon Emperor, Phoenix Emperor. You must give me an explanation today. Where are your demon experts? Are they all dead? Demon Emperor, Phoenix Emperor, you are all shameless. The Sea King, who was getting more and more difficult to deal with, was almost going to show his true colors. However, the Sea Emperor did not know that the Demon Emperor could no longer hear him. If he wanted the Demon Emperor to give him an explanation, the Sea Emperor would have to go to the Void World to search for it. Of course, that was under the premise that he could find it. As for the Phoenix Emperor, he was fighting with the saints of the demon race and the demon experts who were gathered together. How could he have the time or interest to bother with the Sea King? Sea King, what was that? Why would he have the time to bother with him? The Black Dragon Elder was recounting the Demon Emperor's death with tears streaming down his face. How he had been used by the Phoenix Emperor all his life, how he had been toyed with and schemed against by the Phoenix Emperor, how he had carried out the apocalyptic strategy to wipe out the parts that were detrimental to the Demon Emperor, causing the Demon Emperor to suffer the most extreme backlash of the apocalyptic strategy and die. A lifetime of tragedy, a lifetime of manipulation, a lifetime of loyalty, yet he had been schemed against. One had to admit that the Black Dragon Grand Elder was quite eloquent. This accusation was full of emotion, and tears streamed down his aged face. Even Yun Yang, who was listening from the side, felt that the demonic emperor's life was unusually righteous. Whenever it was the demonic emperor's fault, no matter the reason, whether it was related to the Phoenix Emperor or not, it was all pinned on the Phoenix Emperor's head, especially the part where the Dragon Emperor was used by the Phoenix Emperor. The demonic emperor had been described in detail and embellished, making it even more bizarre than the truth. It was obvious that the Phoenix Emperor was extremely vicious and despicable. Throughout the entire process, the Phoenix Empress remained silent as she listened. She didn't say a single word in rebuttal. His figure stood there like a mountain, but there was an indescribable desolation in his back view. In terms of eloquence and in terms of controlling people's hearts, the Black Dragon Elder was at most not bad. Meanwhile, the Phoenix Emperor was an expert in this field. At the very least, he was a great grandmaster. He had too many ways to make the Black Dragon Elder shut up. He also had enough charm in his words to rewrite the current situation and divert the topic. Furthermore, he had absolute martial power to stop everything before him. However, he still didn't move. He just watched as the Black Dragon Elder spoke, allowing the situation to develop in a direction that was most disadvantageous to him. There was an inexplicable sense of distance in his expression. In the beginning, he was really like this. For his own desires, he would do anything to achieve them. What couldn't he make use of in this world? What couldn't he make use of? What couldn't he be of help to him? He had calculated everything in the world. The Demon Emperor and Long Yutian were only pawns. They were all within his control. That was all. But, when did it start to change? Had he really started to treat the Demon Emperor as a brother, as a friend? Had he not been scheming against him, using whatever he could, leading him to a dead end, pushing him towards it with all his might? Then why could he be so open with his heart and talk about everything? The demon emperor's carefree and unguarded laughter when he drank seemed to appear before his eyes again. On one hand, he was secretly delighted as he was one step closer to his goal. On the other hand, his heart was filled with guilt and pain, and he wanted to stop his plan. When did all these start? Wouldn't it be better if I had always been selfish, cold and heartless? Why did I have to have such weird feelings, making my state of mind unstable and filled with distracting thoughts? The demon emperor was not a good emperor at all. He was not even a good friend, let alone a good brother. He had too many weaknesses. If he did not have ulterior motives, no one would be able to tolerate him. Not a single one. He was obviously just a trash. Why would I be upset and even waver because of him? Could it be that the demon emperor had moved me? The demon emperor had a strong personality and had many weaknesses. He was also temperamental, which resulted in him having very few friends. It was almost impossible for him to make friends. But those whom he recognized as friends, he would treat them wholeheartedly, without any distracting thoughts. Although in some dangerous situations, the demon emperor would choose his brothers and friends to protect them, but it could not be denied that he would treat those friends with sincerity. In other words, he was an extremely conflicted emperor. Now, he was no longer here. The target that I had schemed against for tens of thousands of years was finally gone. She was gone forever. The black dragon in front of him was still pointing at him and barking, but the Phoenix Emperor did not care about what he was saying. At this moment, his thoughts were far away, and he had already floated beyond the clouds. You hate me now, right? Otherwise, you would not have told me so clearly what you had comprehended before you died. What the Black Dragon Elder did was probably your last wish. All right then, you hate me so much, I will do one last thing for you. Let your death no longer be a secret. Let your hatred spread throughout the world. So that you won't die without knowing the reason behind it. Want to announce it? Then announce it. They could say whatever they wanted, the Phoenix Emperor pondered in a daze. But I will not die, Long Yutian. I will only soar above the clouds and find the ancient tribes. I will become a true expert of the universe. That's the biggest dream I've ever had in this life. I will completely forget you in the long baptism of time. When I look back on the past and think of you occasionally, I can only smile faintly. At that time, I would have already reached a whole new realm. Adieu, my friend, my brother. I am sorry. Many experts of the Phoenix race gradually could not hold it in and became restless. In their opinion, the Demon Emperor was dead, so be it. Now that the demon race and humans were at war, the demon race needed a powerful emperor to hold the fort. And the emperor who would take over the demon race could only be the Phoenix Emperor. There was no doubt about it. In the entire demon race, who could convince the masses more than the Phoenix Emperor, and be more suitable to be the demon emperor? What does the dragon race mean by saying this? Even if we use our butts to think, we can figure it out. Is it because the demon emperor is dead, but you still want to hold on to the title of the orthodox demon race? Because you are afraid that our wind emperor will seize power, you want to discredit our Phoenix Emperor first? Nonsense. An elder of the Phoenix clan finally couldn't help but speak. Who doesn't know that the Demon Emperor and the Phoenix Emperor have been very close for tens of thousands of years? Everyone in the world can plot against the Demon Emperor, but the Phoenix Emperor of our clan won't. This is the common understanding of the entire demon clan. Black Dragon, what are you trying to do by making irresponsible remarks like this? The Black Dragon Grand Elder's eyes were red, and he was enraged. His Majesty has passed away, and many of our brothers are beside him. Is this something that I can fabricate just by opening my mouth? The other 4 elders of the dragon race stepped forward to testify, proving that what the Black Dragon Grand Elder said was true and true. But even with the 5 elders of the dragon race as witnesses, the Demon Emperor did not say it himself. To pin the Phoenix Emperor to death, the crime of a Demon Emperor was still not enough. For a moment, the confrontation between the dragon race and the phoenix race became more and more obvious. They glared at each other, ready to fight at any moment. Vaguely, the murderous aura was so strong that it almost condensed. The Black Dragon Grand Elder suddenly hollered angrily, "Your Majesty, the Phoenix Emperor. Why haven't you made a sound? If you're a man, make a sound. You dare to do it, but don't dare to admit it?" The holler was like a bolt from the blue, jolting the Phoenix Emperor who had fallen into a daze. He raised his head indifferently and scanned the crowd of demons in front of him, saying faintly, "I did it, that's how it is. So what?" His voice was very calm, but the meaning behind his words was like a bomb thrown into the crowd. It was earth-shattering, and its lethality was off the charts. At that moment, the experts of the dragon race were dumbfounded. The combat power of the Phoenix race was also dumbfounded. Everyone present, including Yun Yang, was stunned by the Phoenix Emperor's words. No one had expected that the Phoenix Emperor would actually admit it so straightforwardly. Whether it was Yun Yang or the 5 elders of the dragon race led by the Black Dragon Grand Elder, they had long prepared themselves for the Phoenix Emperor's rebuttal. They had all sorts of reasons to explain and how to pin the Phoenix Emperor's crime of murdering the Demon Emperor. They did not expect the Phoenix Emperor to admit it, without hesitation. In the next moment, however, the rage of the rest of the dragon race reached its peak, erupting like a volcano. They could bear the death of their emperor, be it in battle, from illness, or even from seeking his own death. Who was immune to death? Even the invincible cultivators had a limit to their lifespan. There was still an end to their lives, and accidents like this were inevitable. However, they could not bear the fact that their emperor had died in such an aggrieved and muddle-headed manner. He had died of betrayal. He had died of exploitation. He had died of a scheme tens of thousands of years ago. This was a scheme that surpassed the Demon Emperor. Thinking about how their emperor had been manipulated and played by a certain schemer for his entire life, the experts of the dragon race, without exception, were so upset that they wanted to cry. What a tragedy this was. In particular, the schemer was the person whom His Majesty the Dragon Emperor trusted the most. How could they endure this? This was a scheme that had been carried out until the very end. The Black Dragon Grand Elder's eyes were bloodshot. Of course, the 5 elders of the dragon race had their own selfish motives for revealing this matter in public. This selfishness was the rightful ownership of the demon race. Revenge was a must, of course, but their combat power was obviously insufficient now. They could not kill the Phoenix Emperor at once. Chapter 15-16. Of course, they had to take revenge, but their combat power was obviously insufficient. They could not kill the Phoenix Emperor at once. They needed to knock the Phoenix Emperor off his pedestal so that he would no longer be qualified to inherit the position of Demon Emperor. Now that the matter of the demonic sovereign being plotted against had been exposed, the few elders didn't expect the Phoenix Sovereign to admit it. As long as he was a suspect, it would be fine. Then, the Phoenix Sovereign would lose the right to inherit the position of demonic sovereign. After all, he was a suspect, and it was necessary to avoid arousing suspicion. Then there would be a lot of room to maneuver in the future. The dragon race would occupy the rightful position and support the Demon Emperor's son to ascend the throne. It could be said that it was logical and logical. As long as the position remained, even if the demon race were to split up, the dragon race would still be high above all the other demon race. When they were powerful enough, they could summon all the demons in the world and bring up the matter again to attack the Phoenix Emperor. It was a pity that the plan of the 5 great elders of the dragon clan was completely useless. The Phoenix Emperor had admitted to plotting against the Demon Emperor. This admission made the 5 great elders of the dragon clan a little confused, not knowing what to do. At this moment, a furious voice hollered, "Our Emperor's spirit is not far away. Watch us avenge our Emperor. Eradicate the traitor Phoenix Emperor and cleanse the reputation of the Demon Clan." Then, a dragon clan expert flew into the air and rushed towards the Phoenix Emperor. The Phoenix Emperor's gaze froze. Catching sight of Yun Yang, who was swiftly disappearing into the crowd, he bellowed angrily, "Supreme Cloud!" He reacted quickly and stretched out his hand to catch the Holy Venerable of the Dragon Clan. However, the moment his hand touched the Holy Venerable of the Dragon Clan, the Holy Venerable's body exploded, and he died on the spot. At least to the demons present, the Phoenix Emperor had blown up the attacker with a single punch. There was no doubt about it. For a moment, blood and flesh flew everywhere, and brains were smeared all over the ground. The eyes of all the Dragon Clan who saw this scene turned red. This was intolerable. If they continued to tolerate it, the Dragon Clan would no longer have a place in the Demon Clan. The Great Elder of the White Dragon Clan was the most hot-tempered among the 5 Great Elders of the Dragon Clan. He had not spoken much before, not because he was reticent, but because he had been suppressing his anger. Now that both sides had fallen out, he could no longer tolerate it. He hollered, "Phoenix Emperor! How dare you act violently in front of me?" Without any explanation, he charged forward. With his charge, the other dragons were already eager to take action. Now that someone had taken the lead, they naturally rushed forward together. The experts of the Phoenix Clan had already made up their minds. If you want to incriminate someone, you can always find a pretext. The Dragon Clan was arrogant and stubborn, and they were unreasonable. This was especially true for the Dragon Emperor. All these years, the Demon Clan had been in trouble, and the other clans had no one to complain to. They could only bear it in silence. So what if our emperor messed with Long Yutian and played him? You can only blame your emperor for being too stupid. What does that have to do with us? Moreover, we, the elites of the Phoenix Clan, are here. How can we watch our emperor be punished by you? What a joke. It was the biggest joke in the world. Just now, when you old things pointed at my nose and scolded the emperor, I already wanted to kill you. Now, your dragon race actually rushed over. Did they really think that they were still in the position of Long Yutian? Obviously, at this moment, the entire Phoenix Clan had tacitly approved of the Phoenix Emperor's actions. Their support for the Phoenix Emperor didn't decrease at all. Instead, it increased. Do you think that the Phoenix Clan doesn't have any manpower? The Grand Elder of the Phoenix Clan shouted angrily, "How dare they disobey their superiors and offend our emperor? Kill them!" Before he finished speaking, he took the lead and charged forward. If he didn't show his loyalty now, when would he? As long as the battle started and ended, who would know what their emperor had done? As long as they killed all of them, who would be able to explain the whole story? Didn't they know that history was always written by the victors? All of this happened too suddenly. Although the Phoenix Empress wanted to stop them, it was already too late. The elites of the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan had already charged towards one another without any regard for their own safety. It was just a single collision, but a torrential wave of blood was created. They were even more vicious and desperate than when they fought the humans previously. The reason was actually very simple and crude. Although the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan had worked together for many years and knew each other well, the more it was like this, the more blurred the difference between them became. The Dragon Clan claimed to be the Orthodox Demon Clan and the Supreme Demon Clan. However, the Phoenix Clan had never been willing to fall behind. Our Phoenix Emperor and your Dragon Emperor are on equal footing. Your Dragon Emperor still listens to our Phoenix Emperor and has never disobeyed. Why are you the Orthodox Demon Clan and we are the side branches? The two clans were the two most powerful races in the Demon Clan. They didn't like each other and were unwilling to submit to each other. Looking at the history of the Demon Clan for hundreds of thousands of years, many members of the Dragon Clan looked down on the aloof members of the Phoenix Clan. Many members of the Phoenix Clan also looked down on the arrogant members of the Dragon Clan. It was just that they kept their weaknesses in their hearts and rarely said it out loud. This was the last time they shed all pretense of cordiality. Now, they officially shed all pretense of cordiality. You harmed our emperor. You wanted to harm our emperor. In this battle, the elites of the two clans displayed their full strength and killed each other. Instantly, blood flowed like a river. The Great Sage-level Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan lost more than 10 Great Sage-level Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan instantly. And this was just the beginning. The situation of the battle spread rapidly, and the number of casualties increased rapidly. The Dragon Clan risked their lives, while the Phoenix Clan risked their lives. The two clans suddenly broke out into an extreme battle. The situation of the battle was unprecedented. The surrounding Sea Clan and other demon clans were dumbfounded and at a loss. I just want to ask what is going on. In the great battle that determined the survival of the entire demon clan, the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan were watching the show from the sidelines. If you insist that you want to preserve your strength and make preparations for the future, or even if you want to be more sinister, you want the Sea Clan to die so that they can grow stronger in the future, I can understand that. But now, you are fighting each other, and it is such an intense and extreme civil war. Are all of you crazy? Couldn't they have some organizational discipline? Couldn't they have some sense of honor for the race? Then, listen to what the two clans are shouting: avenge the Demon Emperor. Kill the evil Phoenix Clan and return the Demon Clan to glory. Avenge the Phoenix Clan. Kill these shameless dragons and return peace to the Demon Clan. The Dragon Clan was filled with grief and indignation. The Phoenix Clan was filled with murderous intent. The Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan were not clashing and soaring into the sky. Instead, they clashed and collided in the sky. They were obviously summoning their clansmen to fight. There were enemies here that needed to be dealt with and exterminated more than humans. On the battlefield, the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan warriors who were still supporting each other were suddenly at a loss. Because of the summoning of their clansmen, they flew back together in a silly manner. Then, they realized that their comrades' clansmen were fighting to the death with their own clansmen. What kind of feeling was this? After joining the battle, in an instant, their mortal enemy was actually the comrade that they had entrusted their lives to just now. Countless Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan warriors who returned to support broke down. Are they playing with us? There were also countless experts of the Demon Clan, who were all dumbfounded and at a loss. What is going on? Why are the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan fighting? And it is a summoning from the top of the two clans. This is an extreme battle, a sign that they will not stop until one of them is dead. This is a battlefield between the Demon Clan and humans. Why are our own Demon Clan fighting with each other? I don't know. What should we do? I don't know. More and more masters of the Monster Clan stopped fighting, staring blankly at the dragons and phoenixes, who had risen from the ground to the sky. More and more dragons and phoenixes joined the battle, and the entire sky had become a battlefield for these two clans. In fact, the two races even felt that the sky battlefield wasn't big enough, so they flew a few hundred meters higher, expanding the battlefield even more. For a moment, the sky was filled with roars, screams, and groans. Dragon scales and phoenix feathers, which were rarely seen, fell from the sky like snowflakes. Dragon essence and phoenix blood sprayed everywhere. The bodies of the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan kept falling, smashing into the water surface and splashing water everywhere. The legendary delicacies, such as dragon liver and phoenix gall, were within their reach today, easily obtainable. Far away, the Sea Clan's higher-ups watched the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan fight in a daze. Their mouths were wide open, and even their gazes were blank. We did ask you to join the battle, but the battle is against the humans, not each other. You're fighting amongst yourselves, and you're fighting so fiercely and excitedly. What are you trying to do? In a moment of carelessness, the Sea King was struck 3 times by Dongfang Haoran. As he lost his footing, he was slashed by Ji Lingxi's sword. With a grunt, he turned to run, but the moment he did so, his focus on fighting the enemy was interrupted because he saw the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan fighting each other. For a moment, he forgot to turn his neck back. His eyes were wide open, and his body was stiff. With a howl, he twisted his neck. Still, he looked over in disbelief, watching the extreme battle in the sky. His eyes were filled with despair and disbelief. Disbelief, and disbelief crumbled. There was only one thought in the Sea King's mind, King Hell, I've really been played to death by them this time. The good situation has turned into a fleeting cloud. After a full 2 breaths, the Sea King finally came back to his senses. His actions became even stranger. Ignoring everything else, he endured Dongfang Haoran and Ji Lingxi's attacks and flew over as if his life depended on it. Bang, 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 fresh blood flowed from the Sea King's body. The injuries he suffered from these few moves were more severe than all of his previous injuries combined. However, he could no longer care about that. He flew into the air, gathered a mouthful of primordial qi, and roared with all his might, "Stop!" The Sea King was utterly speechless and helpless. I said I wouldn't come, but you guys invited me over and over again, forcing me to come. Now, you've dragged me here to fight, but when I got here, not only are you guys not participating in the battle, but you're also fighting amongst yourselves. I'm King being beaten up, and I have to stop you guys from fighting at the same time. I was dragged here by you guys to stop the fight, wasn't I? Yes? This must be true, right? Chapter 15-17. However, the Sea Emperor thought that he had already compromised to an unimaginable degree. The Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan turned a deaf ear to the Sea Emperor's desperate cry. They were still fighting, and none of them turned around to look at him. Are you qualified to stop a fight? Why are you stopping a fight at a time like this? Don't you know that we will not rest until one of us dies? That we must fight to the end today? The Sea Emperor sucked in a deep breath. Like a bolt of lightning, he let out a heart-wrenching roar, "Demon Sovereign! Phoenix Sovereign! What the CK are you two doing?" Hot tears welled up in the Sea Emperor's eyes. I finally understand. You two clans laid out the world annihilation strategy and blew up the Blood Soul Mountain, but you didn't want to attack the bound of universe. You think the demon plane is too small for you to fight. You blew up the Blood Soul Mountain to open up a battlefield for you to fight to the death. You were afraid that you didn't embarrass yourself enough at the demon clan, so you purposely chose this battlefield to do it, to show all the living beings in this world. You must have done it on purpose. You gathered all the living beings of the human, marine, demon, and mystical beasts together, and then you fought amongst yourselves. The Sea Emperor let out a thunderous roar, "You bastards!" Before his voice echoed in the air, he spat out a mouthful of blood. The Sea Emperor fell on his back. With his cultivation base, even if the pinnacle saints of the entire continent could suppress him, he would not be in such a miserable state even if they fought for a few more days and nights. Dongfang Haoran and Ji Lingxi had undoubtedly dealt him a series of heavy blows, but as a top-notch saint, the Sea Emperor had recovered in the blink of an eye. Now, however, the Sea Emperor vomited blood that flowed in reverse. He was not beaten up. He was enraged. He fainted from anger. He could even hear the sound of his liver exploding from anger. Since the beginning of time, he had never heard of such a thing. They had paid such a heavy price in exchange for the execution of the world annihilation plan. Then, they had successfully opened the realm protection gate of the humans. Just when they were about to press on with their victory, all they needed was a little more effort and they would be able to charge in. It was clear that the humans could no longer hold on. But at this most critical, most delicate moment, the two of you clans rebelled against each other. Moreover, the battle was incomparably fierce and unprecedented. Everyone gritted their teeth. All of them had deep hatred and bitterness. The Ocean Emperor felt that the fact that his heart and inner core hadn't exploded on the spot was already because of his great self-restraint and magnanimity. You can fight whenever you want. Why did they have to fight now? Even if you don't drag our sea race along, you can fight on your own, that's fine. But now, you're fighting to your heart's content, but our sea race is dying one after another, especially over there, there were millions and millions of deaths over there, huh? How could there be a million deaths? There weren't any before. The Sea Emperor focused his eyes and saw a purple figure flying back and forth above the sea. Wherever it passed, people and horses were thrown off their feet. The seawater along the way instantly turned red. Neptune cried out involuntarily, "Supreme Cloud!" Even more hatred filled his heart. He hadn't seen Supreme Cloud, the bound of universe's highest combat power, in the previous battle. He thought that the demon race had him restrained, but now you're starting to act violently. You're fighting amongst yourselves, but you should have kept Supreme Cloud occupied. Why did you release him? The Whale King didn't care about the price he had to pay. Finally, he arrived in front of the Sea Emperor. His face was covered in blood, and his nose had been punctured with dozens of holes. Panting heavily, he asked, "Your Majesty, what do we do? What do we do?" The Sea Emperor was at a loss. He turned to look around, speechless. F***CK. Your father also wants to ask, what do we do now? But who can I ask? Your father doesn't know. Yin Yang, the culprit who ignited the war between the dragon and phoenix races, had naturally retreated as soon as he could after plotting against the phoenix sovereign and igniting the war between the two races. Even when the dragon and phoenix races' combat power had retreated from the battlefield, the human race was still in a state of emergency. Tian Fa's sacred beasts were still self-destructing in batches. Why would Yin Yang waste time here? Otherwise, he wouldn't have made a move. The conflict had already been formed. How could it be resolved so easily? However, the dragon race obviously had other plans. They did not plan to seek revenge immediately. How could they? Yin Yang was displeased. What place did they place the Demon Emperor? Driven by such righteous indignation, how could Yin Yang watch from the sidelines? They actually wanted to suppress the matter and stabilize the situation first. They even wanted to take the opportunity to gain some benefits and gain a foothold. How could Yin Yang allow them to fight? Not fight? No way. Let me help you all. Let's start the civil war. Therefore, Yin Yang tossed a dragon race expert who was right beside him out and restrained him. As expected, the effect was great. The two races erupted immediately. It was good that they had erupted. Now that the war between the two races was in full swing, Yin Yang had retreated successfully, turning into the wind and clouds and leaving. Even the Phoenix Sovereign, who had noticed Yin Yang's little trick, could not help but sigh helplessly. Yin Yang, who had left the battle between the dragon race and the phoenix race, unleashed the ultimate aura of a top-notch saint at once. He crushed his way through the air, targeting the sea race. The divine edge in his hand turned into a 1,000-foot-long saber as he swung it. Any sea race or demon race that encountered him turned into dead souls under the saber without a shred of resistance. With Yin Yang's current cultivation base that was half a step away from the star realm and still improving by leaps and bounds, no cultivator below the saint realm could stand a chance against him. He steeled his heart and charged forward, sticking close to the front line of the battlefield. Wherever he passed, he was merciless. All the demon race and sea race were annihilated, leaving the mountains of corpses and seas of blood behind him. Countless strangely shaped heads flew up as he flew past, forming a row in the air. It was a spectacular sight. Many of the human experts were still fighting with the enemy just a moment ago, flustered and in a precarious situation. However, in the blink of an eye, the enemies around them had perished somehow. Looking around, the nearest enemy was already tens of thousands of feet away. Their surroundings were filled with floating corpses. Still at a loss, he panted and looked around, only to see that his comrades around him had the same expression as him. Many of them even couldn't balance their mystical chi for a while, and couldn't help but swing their weapons around a few times before they could stabilize their bodies again. Those who were observant took a closer look, only to see that from the front of them, about 1,000 feet in height, there was a bloody path extending all the way to the end of the sky. Only a long howl full of killing intent could be heard from afar, lingering for a long time. Lord Supreme Cloud is here. Lord Supreme Cloud passed by here just now. He killed his way through. Countless human experts looked to their left and right, as well as the bloody path that stretched into the distance. As they relaxed, they could not help sucking in a cold breath. Lord Supreme Cloud? Did he just kill his way through without stopping? Just look at the thousands of feet of land around me, and beyond that, there are at least hundreds of thousands of sea race and demon race corpses here. Lord Supreme Cloud, on the other hand, had slaughtered his way from one end of the mountain to the other. How many would he have killed along the way? I've heard people say that one who kills 9 million people is a hero among heroes. I always thought it was an exaggeration. There's a limit to a man's strength. Even if he kills every day and kills several people every day, he might not be able to kill 9 million people in his entire life. However, seeing the bloody path that Lord Supreme Cloud carved out with his own eyes today, the number of people killed in this battle must be more than 9 million, right? Countless people were speechless. That was not all Yin Yang had done. Some of the humans who were severely injured and in danger in the midst of battle suddenly had a medicinal pill in their mouths after the gust of wind. The pill melted in their mouths, turning into a steady stream of vitality that nourished their physical body. Their injuries healed immediately. Although it was not an instant recovery, it was at least 30 to 40% healed, pulling the injured back from the brink of death. Such a miraculous medicinal pill, such a miraculous effect, was truly a healing panacea. It was shocking. Yin Yang killed his way through the enemy's saint experts. He could not kill them directly, but he would severely injure them and force them to retreat from the battle. Even with Yin Yang's current cultivation base and ability, it would still take a considerable amount of time to completely destroy a saint's soul. The higher the cultivation base, the longer it would take. Everyone had the cultivation base of a saint. Some had a higher cultivation base, some had a lower one. Yin Yang was half a step into the universe, but he still had the cultivation base of a saint. He had yet to take that half step out. Therefore, it was impossible for him to kill a saint with a single strike. However, Yin Yang did not have so much time to waste. He might as well severely injure the other party so that they could no longer do anything and leave the battlefield to recover. This was the time that Yin Yang had bought. Yin Yang wanted to kill as many members of the sea race and demons as he could during this period of time to accumulate the karmic chi. He wanted to accumulate enough karmic chi to upgrade the endless divine art to the 8th level as soon as possible. Otherwise, Yin Yang had no confidence that he could deal with the Phoenix Sovereign. The Phoenix Sovereign was too powerful now. He was truly an expert who had transcended the realm of sages. Although the war between the Dragon and Phoenix clans was intense and the situation was even more tragic, that was because the Phoenix Sovereign had not attacked and suppressed the entire battlefield. Once the Phoenix Sovereign attacked, with his current cultivation base and ability, he could definitely suppress the Dragon clan and quell the internal strife of the Demon clan in a very short time. Although Yin Yang had the oceanic suppressing divine staff in his hands, he had no confidence that it could suppress the Phoenix Monarch. Furthermore, Yin Yang could only use the staff once with his ability. After using it once, his energy would be depleted, and his mystical chi and spiritual chi would be depleted at the same time. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Yin Yang really did not want to see that happen. It was too dangerous, too risky. Fortunately, the endless divine art was on the verge of upgrading. Emmy had already sorted out the karmic chi that it had absorbed recently. Now, it was only left with the last step. Although Yin Yang did not know how much more he needed to kill to gather the missing portion, he knew that it should not be much. That was why he did not hesitate to exhaust his cultivation base to push forward so fiercely, leaving no survivors. Time. What Yin Yang needed now was time. Once the Phoenix Sovereign reacted and went on a killing spree, the battle environment that he had built would be destroyed immediately. That was something Yin Yang could not bear. Therefore, Yin Yang crushed the jade pendant that connected him to Emperor Rock and the others as he went on a killing spree. Now was definitely not the best time. However, Yin Yang had no other choice. The Phoenix Sovereign was improving and familiarizing himself with his power with every second. He could not drag this on any longer. Come on. The more Emperor Rock and the others came, the better. Of Yin Yang's trump cards, only the Palace of Nine Supremes had yet to be used. The rest had already been used. Even the Fox Sovereign's personal guards had been wiped out. Yin Yang was helpless. He could only do so. However, Yin Yang's determination to name a price made the Sea Clan and the other higher-ups even more helpless and frustrated. The other pinnacle combat forces were people who were proud of their status. They were particular about fighting soldiers and generals against generals. They would not specifically target small fries. Even when the human defense line was in danger and Dongfang Haoran and the others counterattacked and slaughtered the demons in the sea, it was only a matter of convenience. Most of them still prioritized saving their own side. The strong naturally had the demeanor and poise of the strong. However, this supreme cloud only bullied the weak, and it was a frenzied massacre that was unscrupulous. Along the way, even the members of the Sea Clan who were hidden in the water and those who had yet to form a combat force were killed. As for the Demon Clan and the Sea Clan who were fighting in the air, none of them were spared by his blade. Cooked dumplings floated up from the water and fell from the sky like dumplings. People often said that both sides could not reach the shore. Was this a case of two sides joining hands? However, the soup of the dumplings was even more glaring to the eye. On one side, blood bubbled up from the water while on the other, blood rained down from the sky. Cries of pain rose and fell, forming a string. Was this an interesting contrast? Under Supreme Cloud's hands, mountains of corpses, seas of blood, and storms of blood seemed to have become a common sight. When he killed the Demon Clan and the Sea Clan previously, he could not bear to do so. Now, he was killing the Demon Clan and the Sea Clan. Pity? What was that? As for the demeanor of a strong cultivator? Never heard of it. The Demon Clan and the Sea Clan who were charging at the front line were almost crushed by Yun Yang alone. Corpses piled up like a mountain and blood flowed like a river. He swept from one side to the other like a gust of wind, even using the power of thick earth to fortify the mountains on the other side. He then swallowed a handful of spiritual pills to replenish his spiritual chi and charged back. It was still the same route as before, the only difference was that it was 1,000 feet wider than before. The 1,000 feet of space was just right. The Demon Clan and the Sea Clan were just right to fill in the gap. Lord Supreme Cloud was like a sharp sword that pierced through the heavens, coming back for the kill once again. This time, Ma Jian was moaning and groaning along the way. The Whale King bellowed from afar, "Supreme Cloud! Fight me if you have the guts. Bullying the weak, what kind of ability is that? Is this the demeanor of a pinnacle cultivator like you? Come. Come and fight me to the death." Yin Yang chortled. Sure. With a wave of his hand, a crack appeared in the space. Yin Yang, who had passed through the crack, was right in front of the Whale King. The Whale King was shocked, his expression changing as he turned to run. "Big brother, big boss, I was just joking. Why did you take it seriously?" Supreme Cloud's current level was above that of Neptune. The Whale King was only a high-level saint, how could he dare to face Supreme Cloud head-on? He would only be looking for trouble if he fought him. Yin Yang guffawed. "Didn't you want to fight me? Why are you running? Where's your seed? Where's your ability?" The Whale King dared not reply, tearing the space apart to help Neptune. Yin Yang tore the space apart again and returned to his original position, charging forward once more. On the battlefield, the humans were all guffawing, their morale high. Everyone had witnessed the Whale King's ruthless words, but once they met, he immediately turned and ran. How could their morale not be boosted? How dare he challenge Lord Supreme Cloud with this kind of trash? He's overestimating himself. What do you mean by overestimating himself? If he really dares to go against Lord Supreme Cloud, that would be overestimating himself. Exactly. What Whale King? I think he should be called Ghost King, the king of cowards. This is too funny. I'm so happy that the wound on my stomach doesn't hurt anymore, that's you. My stomach hurts even more now. On the other hand, the sea tribe who had just witnessed the scene felt a wave of dejection. The Whale King's challenge just now had undoubtedly boosted the morale of the sea demons who had been terror-stricken and scared out of their wits. Finally, a strong cultivator from their side had stepped forward. What happened next, however, caused the morale that had just recovered to plummet to the point where it could no longer be reinvigorated. Our pillar of support didn't even dare to fight the opponent's pinnacle expert and ran away with his tail between his legs. He was obviously just talking. How were we supposed to raise our morale to fight like this? Countless members of the sea tribe cursed inwardly. King Whale King, do you call yourself king just because of your mouth? So, other than spitting out water, you can also brag? Could he be any more unreliable? Isn't this a joke? On the other side, the battle between the dragon race and the phoenix race was still ongoing. The Phoenix Emperor was only defending passively, obviously distracted and not paying attention to the battle at all. He seemed to be searching for something, as if there was something missing between heaven and earth, unable to form a complete picture. What was missing, though? The Phoenix Emperor was perplexed and heartbroken, but at the same time, he felt that he was frighteningly schizophrenic. I'm the one who caused his death. Why am I upset? Everything is planned by me. I've brought about today's situation. What am I feeling disappointed about now? Shouldn't everything before me be an outcome that I'm happy to see? Shouldn't it be a situation that I expected? I kept thinking, didn't I already get what I wanted? Why am I still feeling disappointed? What's wrong with me? I shouldn't be sad, I shouldn't be disappointed, I shouldn't feel sorry for myself, and I shouldn't be sad and nostalgic. I should pull myself together, unify the demon race, and launch a large-scale attack on the human race. I should be the great cause of the demon world. But why am I feeling perplexed? Why am I in pain? Why can't I walk out of it? Where did this confusion come from? Why did it come from? The Phoenix Emperor knew what he should do, but he didn't do it. It wasn't that he didn't want to do it, but now, his extremely rare emotional fluctuations were interfering with him and controlling him. Many of the pinnacle experts of the dragon race charged at him with all their might, but they were all dispelled by him. However, that was all he did. Other than that, he drifted around the battlefield as if he was sleepwalking. The dragon race and the phoenix race were clearly fighting intensely, but the Phoenix Emperor was still in a daze, as if everything before him had nothing to do with him. Until, a low-level saint of the dragon race suddenly hugged him, burned his life and divine soul, and self-detonated at such a close distance. The Phoenix Emperor tumbled in the air from the explosion. This was the first time he was being tested, but the impact this time completely woke him up. With the Phoenix Emperor's current cultivation level, he could be said to be unparalleled. Even the self-detonation of a low-level saint at close range was unable to do anything to him. It only caused his body to suffer a certain degree of shock. It couldn't even be considered a light injury. It was just a superficial injury that could be instantly healed with a thought. However, this tremor had awakened him from his perplexity. I've been a companion for so many years, a shadow for so many years. I actually unknowingly got used to this state. So I actually lost myself unknowingly. The Phoenix Emperor laughed self-deprecatingly. Suddenly, he let out an even louder shout, "Stop!" This shout shook heaven and earth, and an abnormally ferocious aura surged out. The surrounding dragons and phoenixes all lost their footing and involuntarily retreated thousands of feet in shock. The power of a single shout was actually so great. The Phoenix Emperor's eyes were filled with disdain as he said loudly, "No matter what, the Demon Emperor is already dead. Now is the crucial period of the war between the humans and the demons. Do you really have to start a civil war at this time? This is not what the Demon Emperor would like to see." The Green Dragon Elder laughed coldly, "Your Majesty is not the Demon Emperor yet. How would you know that the Demon Emperor would like to see us killing the traitors? Why, Could it be that your majesty wants to ascend to the throne first, then lead us to victory, and then talk about the demon emperor's death? Could it be that the demon emperor would like to see us die? Ha ha ha. What a joke. What a good plan you have. If not for you, how would the demon emperor die? A phoenix elder's face was covered in blood as he shouted angrily, water has a source, trees have roots, and everything has a cause and effect. If the demon emperor did not die, how would the Blood Soul Mountain be destroyed, and how would the demon race gain such a huge advantage in this war? The White Dragon Elder laughed loudly. The Blood Soul Mountain does not exist, of course. It is the demon emperor's credit that the demon emperor did not exist. However, the Phoenix Emperor deliberately concealed the drawbacks of the world annihilation policy, and even if he lost his integrity, it is still an ironclad fact. What else can you say? If the Phoenix Emperor only thought about the general situation of the demon race, the one who would be sacrificed now would not be the demon emperor, but the Phoenix Emperor. He would die with no regrets. Why don't you say so? His Majesty has already passed away, yet all of you are still here acting hypocritically and trying your best to weasel your way out of this. The Phoenix Monarch and the entire Phoenix clan are utterly shameless. The Phoenix Emperor said sternly, being entangled in who is right and who is wrong now is not beneficial to the overall situation. This is the best opportunity for the demon race in hundreds of thousands of years. If the dragon race is determined to start a civil war now, it is equivalent to giving up on the great cause of the demon race. The opportunity does not come again, and I'm afraid there will never be another opportunity in the future. Do you really want to give up? At this moment, a calm voice said, "May I ask Brother Phoenix, what will happen if you give up? What will happen if you don't give up?" His Majesty the Demon Emperor, did you kill him? Not only was this voice abrupt today, but it was also somewhat unfamiliar. However, to the upper echelons of the demon race, it was not unfamiliar. Emperor Rock. Chapter 15:18. Emperor Rock, who did not participate in the battle because his cultivation level had plummeted, had arrived. The dragon and phoenix races suddenly turned their heads. Not only had Emperor Rock arrived, but the Tiger Emperor, Leopard Emperor, Wolf Emperor, Crane Emperor, Bear Emperor, and the other demon emperors, who had been severely injured previously, slowly arrived with the peak experts of their respective races. In addition, there was a group of eagle experts. This group of eagle experts included the remaining 8 sage-level experts of the eagle race, as well as an army of 3,000 sages and half-sages. They formed a formation silently and arrived together after the emperors. However, when they looked at the dragon and phoenix races, their eyes were filled with undisguised hatred. The Phoenix Emperor's heart skipped a beat as he looked at Emperor Rock warily. He said in a deep voice, "Rock, didn't you decide to withdraw from this battle because of your heavy injuries? I thought that you planned to recuperate in seclusion and would not come out again. Now that you have come out, are you here for the great cause of the demons? How thoughtful of you." Ha ha ha. Emperor Rock laughed loudly as his voice turned even colder. "Brother Phoenix, so you actually guessed that we would withdraw from this battle? You really take every conceivable possibility into account. As expected of the number 1 sage of the demons. Your reputation is well deserved." The speaker did not mean it, but the listener did. From the 5 dragon elders' point of view, the reason why Emperor Rock and the others did not participate in the final battle between humans and demons was not only because of their heavy injuries, but also because of the Phoenix Emperor's schemes. As the saying went, one could see the general trend from a small clue. If many powerful race emperors were present, it would be hard to say who would succeed the Demon Emperor position if something happened to the Demon Emperor. After all, Emperor Rock was a ruthless figure who had competed with the Dragon Emperor and Fox Emperor back then. However, none of them were present. Only the Dragon and Phoenix races were present, so it was naturally much easier to deal with. It was only reasonable for the Demon Emperor to become the next Demon Emperor. The Black Dragon Grand Elder shouted, "Your Majesty, please seek justice for the Demon Emperor." Emperor Rock, Crane, and the others were taken aback. Huh? The Black Dragon Grand Elder stepped forward and quickly recounted everything that had happened from beginning to end. He didn't exaggerate at all. However, this was already enough. It left Emperor Rock and the others dumbfounded. The death of the Demon Emperor was already shocking enough. Who would have thought that there would be another explanation for this? This was especially so when they heard that 9 lives, 9 tails, White Robe, Little Wolf, and countless other old brothers had all perished under a scheme. Their clans had been wiped out. Emperor Rock and company's eyes turned red. Phoenix Monarch. The Tiger Monarch raised his head to the sky and let out a long howl. His voice was filled with infinite sorrow. So, the root of all this lies with you. The Phoenix Emperor frowned and said, Tiger, what do you want? The Tiger Monarch said calmly, if you still call me a tiger, then you should still consider yourself to be the phoenix of the past. As the saying goes, every wrong has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. Everything has been cleared up today. You should give me an explanation. So many old brothers are waiting. Without an explanation, this can't be justified, right? Phoenix raised her eyes in disbelief. You want to ask me for an explanation? Emperor Rock said indifferently, if the Demon Monarch were still around, we would naturally demand an explanation from the two of you. Now that the Demon Emperor is no longer around, his death is like the extinguishing of a lamp. If I don't ask you for this explanation, who else should I ask? We can only ask you. Phoenix Monarch narrowed his eyes. Must it be now? The Leopard Monarch took a deep breath and said on behalf of the other sovereigns, now. Now. Phoenix Monarch. All these years of foul air, it's all because of you. You're the main culprit. The demon race is in constant internal strife, and it's actually all because of demons. Compared to attacking the human race and establishing the so-called great cause of eternity, I think it's more practical to seek peace and stability first. Phoenix Monarch sighed tiredly and closed his eyes. He said, so, you actually came into contact with Supreme Cloud. His mind was sharp, and he instantly figured out the crux of the matter. Emperor Rock sneered. Phoenix Monarch, as the saying goes, the heavens are watching the demon's actions. Everything you've done has been exposed. No matter how you quibble, or even accuse us of colluding with the enemy, will you be able to turn the situation around? Is this how a so-called wise man plays with the mind, never changing until death? The 5 dragon elders stepped forward at the same time and bowed deeply to the sovereigns. Thank you, your majesties. Now that the demon race is in a precarious situation, it's indeed not a good opportunity to attack the human race. His Majesty, the Leopard Monarch, is right. We must first settle the internal strife before we fight against external forces. The entire demon race is relying on your majesties to bring order to the chaos. Kill this fiend and return the demon race to its former glory. Emperor Rock sighed. It's my duty to do so. Phoenix Monarch only sneered and did not say a word for a long time. He had clearly seen through everything. Be it Emperor Rock and the others, who were clearly heavily injured, were able to appear here and say all those offensive words just now. It was all so illogical. Phoenix Monarch was absolutely confident that Emperor Rock and the others would definitely not be able to recover from the Sea Monarch's arrow of nirvana within 1,000 years. But now, it had appeared. Furthermore, the timing was so coincidental. There must be a huge secret behind this. And this secret definitely had something to do with Supreme Cloud. But now, he understood that no matter what he said, the entire demon race would not believe his words. Not a single word. Rock, do you know? Phoenix Monarch smiled faintly. After my advancement due to fate, the success or failure of conquering the bound of universe is no longer my goal. I no longer care about it. The reason why I'm in charge of conquering the bound of universe is really for everyone, for the great cause of the demon race. Emperor Rock sneered. For everyone? Is your so-called fate referring to using the power that caused the demon monarch's death? Phoenix Monarch sighed and fell silent. All the Phoenix experts gathered behind Phoenix Monarch. Their pupils constricted as they stared at the opposite side. Almost all the demons, apart from the Phoenix race, were facing them. Phoenix Monarch looked up at the sky and sighed. Who would have thought that after I spent so much effort to conquer the Blood Soul Mountain, the demon race would fall into such a situation? It's really fate and luck. Tens of thousands of years of hard work, millions of years of goal. We achieved it overnight, but it will be destroyed because of internal strife. Even if the heavens are playing tricks on us, it won't be this bizarre. However, when the Dragon Clan's experts heard this, their anger, which had just been suppressed a little, rose again. Then, one of the elders roared, "Go! Avenge the demon monarch!" With a boom, the battle began again. Furthermore, the battle had escalated into the Phoenix race fighting against the entire demon race. However, not only did the battle not become unfavorable to the Phoenix race, but it also took a sharp turn for the worse. This was because the Phoenix Monarch no longer showed mercy and attacked seriously. A mid-level saint of the dragon race rushed over. With a flip of his hand, the Nirvana flame reappeared. However, the Nirvana flame this time was different from the past. The dense flames formed something similar to a silk net, enveloping the saint of the dragon race completely within it. Following that, the Nirvana flames erupted. The moment the fire net dissipated, the dragon saint was reduced to ashes, leaving behind only a wisp of his essence soul that fled in panic in the air. However, the Phoenix Monarch let out a sharp roar and extended his hand. Another pink flame that was completely different from the Nirvana flames suddenly appeared and enveloped the saint's essence soul. As the Phoenix Monarch opened his mouth and sucked, the dragon saint's essence soul entered his mouth and disappeared. In the next moment, the Phoenix Monarch's face suddenly turned red, as if he had eaten a complete tonic. His aura became even stronger. When the demons saw this scene, they were all shocked. Facing the Phoenix Monarch who schemed against the Dragon Monarch and caused the dragon race to lose its status as the demon race's ruler, the dragon race was furious. They wished they could eat her alive. However, how could Emperor Peng and the others not be furious? World annihilation stratagem. What a world annihilation stratagem. Instead of saying that the demon monarch had been deceived by the Phoenix Monarch for so many years and had been controlled for so long, it was better to say that all the emperors of the demon race had been deceived by the Phoenix Monarch and controlled for countless years. So many brothers had died. So many brother races had been destroyed. So many strange things had happened. So many brothers had been framed, schemed against, fallen out with, and perished. For tens of thousands of years, they had been kept in the dark like fools. No, they were like a group of fools. They had been holding back their anger for a long time. Emperor Peng and the other emperors had come with a reason to begin with. They were filled with hostility. Now that they learned that the brother they had acknowledged, the Phoenix Monarch, was actually a schemer, manipulating and playing with their emotions for tens of thousands of years and causing the deaths of so many people and brothers, all of them were enraged. It even surpassed their hatred for the demon monarch. Ignoring everything else, just thinking about how many things they had done to their brothers under the Phoenix Monarch's manipulation made them break out in cold sweat. The moment the people of the Dragon Clan took the lead, many of the emperors didn't wait for the order and rushed forward like a swarm of bees. Every one of them wanted to ruthlessly punch that hateful face a few times to vent the anger in their hearts. However, in the next moment, they saw the Phoenix Monarch easily defeat the Dragon Race Elder, destroying his body with a flick of his finger, and devouring his soul. Then, they saw the Phoenix Monarch devouring his soul as if he had consumed a miraculous elixir. Everyone was stunned on the spot. No one dared to act rashly. The Phoenix Monarch's strength had increased significantly due to the world annihilation strategy. This wasn't surprising at all. In fact, it was reasonable. Emperor Peng and the others had long expected this and were prepared that none of them would be the Phoenix Monarch's match in a one-on-one battle. However, even though the Phoenix Monarch was powerful beyond their expectations, he was still alone. How much could he do against the entire demon race alone? But now, the Phoenix Monarch had destroyed the body of a saint-level expert the moment he attacked. This was already shocking enough. Then, he devoured the soul of a saint to strengthen himself. This was too terrifying. Emperor Peng and the others were all experienced and knowledgeable people. Their willpower and courage far exceeded that of ordinary people, but at that moment, their eyes couldn't help but glaze over. They had indeed heard of such things since ancient times. Following that, a thought surfaced in the hearts of the emperors. Could this be the Phoenix Monarch's ultimate goal? Was this a technique that allowed him to surpass the limits of this world and reach the end of the starry sky realm? Also, all these years, had he eaten many of his brothers? The so-called schemes were not only because he was afraid that someone would see through and stop his plans, but also because he was looking for an opportunity to devour souls and increase his cultivation strength. Thinking of this, their hairs stood on end and they shuddered. With a shocking cry, the Phoenix Monarch flew up with a murderous aura and forcefully broke through the joint encirclement of the 13 saints of the dragon race. His figure appeared in midair, and his aura multiplied. He had the aura of a king descending to the world and suppressing the 4 seas. Since you don't care about the general situation of the demon race and only want an explanation, I'll fulfill your wish and give you an explanation. Flames rose from the Phoenix Monarch's body as he said coldly, however, if you want an explanation, you need to have the strength to demand it. As long as you can produce the strength to obtain an explanation, I don't mind giving you an explanation. Everyone in the Phoenix race, back off. Amidst the whistling sound, flames soared into the sky. With the Phoenix Monarch's order, he charged into the group of more than 100 peak experts of the demon race with a ferocious momentum and started fighting. With a swipe of his hand, a dragon half-sage's body was torn apart. Before his soul could be devoured, he had already been annihilated. With a casual slap of his right hand, the Azure Dragon Elder spat out a mouthful of blood and flew far away. His body suddenly fell into the crowd on the other side. Immediately, more than 30 high-level experts were sent flying as they vomited blood. When Emperor Rock saw that the Phoenix Monarch was charging at him menacingly, he didn't hesitate to exchange a palm strike. The moment their palms collided, Emperor Rock felt his organs rupture. A mouthful of blood spewed out uncontrollably as his arm emitted cracking sounds. It had actually broken. Alarmed, he flipped and retreated rapidly. The Phoenix Monarch's cultivation level was truly shocking. Even if Emperor Rock's cultivation level hadn't fully recovered, the difference between them shouldn't be so great. Emperor Rock hurriedly retreated, but he realized that he couldn't retreat. Seeing the danger, Bear Monarch charged forward without any regard for his own life. He used his chest to block the Phoenix Monarch's palm strike, allowing Emperor Rock to escape. However, even though Bear Monarch was said to have the body with the most resistance in the demon race, his ribs were fractured by the Phoenix Monarch's attack. With a tragic cry, he rolled away like a rubber ball. The experts of the Phoenix clan watched as the Phoenix Emperor advanced and retreated freely in the encirclement of countless experts. She moved like the wind, came and went freely, and dealt with the situation calmly. She actually suppressed many of the top combat forces of the demon clan. They couldn't help but widen their eyes in disbelief. We always knew that the Phoenix Monarch was very powerful, but we really didn't know that the Phoenix Monarch was this powerful. This is simply sharp. According to our understanding of the Dragon Monarch, his personal combat strength is indeed superior to the other monarchs of the demon race apart from the Dragon Monarch. However, at most, he can only deal with the combined attacks of the Rock Monarch and the Bear Monarch. Emperor Rock's movement technique was extremely fast, and his attacks were even sharper. Emperor Bear was extremely strong, and his resistance to attacks was especially outstanding. He had always been the strongest among the demons. When the two of them joined forces, not just anyone could deal with them. But how could the current Phoenix Empress be so sharp? How could she crush them so casually? This was suppressing the world. It was truly too ferocious. This strength was more than 10 times stronger than his previous combat strength. At that moment, the higher-ups of the Phoenix race understood. It seemed like what the dragon race had said was true. As expected, the Phoenix Monarch had used the Demon Monarch as a scapegoat and then absorbed the powerful energy contained within the world annihilation strategy, right? Otherwise, how could he have improved so much in just one day? The vast power of the world annihilation strategy had instantly broken through the Blood-Soul Mountain, which had stood in the bound of universe for countless years and contained the mighty power of a strong cultivator in the galaxy. It was no small matter. The Phoenix Emperor, who had absorbed this power, was acting strangely during the battle. It was probably because she hadn't finished absorbing the power. Now, it was obvious that she had already absorbed all the power and made it her own. However, it was good that everyone knew about this. They mustn't say it out loud. Otherwise, they would be looking for trouble. The higher-ups were surrounding the Phoenix Monarch and fighting. In such a battle, those with slightly lower cultivation levels couldn't even interfere. They couldn't even bear the aftershocks of the intense battle. However, are we just going to watch? Just as this thought appeared in the Phoenix race's mind, the situation in front of them was broken by the Eagle Race army. In that instant, the Eagle Race army didn't differentiate between friend and foe. They all flew into the sky and plunged into the battle. Emperor. We're here. Today, all grudges will be settled. The Eagle Monarch's personal guards resolutely charged into the battle. They charged into the Phoenix Race army and the Dragon Race army, then, the 500 personal guards all did the same action. Self-destruct. We don't want to fight, nor do we want to wait passively. No matter what you want to do, it has nothing to do with us. Our only mission is to collect some interest for the Eagle Monarch. The Eagle Monarch has waited for too long. We've already figured out the cause and effect. Then, it's our mission to bring a group of masters from the Dragon and Phoenix race down. Then, a dense and intense explosion suddenly rang out. Dust billowed and filled the sky. The self-destruction of the Eagle race's personal guards almost caused the ocean water to stop flowing. The 500 personal guards of the Eagle Monarch all self-destructed in an instant. The unprecedentedly intense explosion directly cleared a large area of the battlefield in the sky. This unprecedented and heroic self-destruction immediately caused the entire battlefield to be solemn, and even the world to lose its color. In the face of such a sudden and devastating might, even the Phoenix Emperor, who had already adapted to her current energy level and was confident that she could deal with everything and go on a killing spree without any reservations, was astonished. So tragic. So tragic. The only remaining saint-level elder of the Eagle race laughed loudly, ha 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 ha. As expected of the Eagle of the Sky. As he laughed, tears flowed down his face. My Eagle race's emperor, for the sake of the demon race, tried his best to seize the demon race's sacred object. He risked his life and fought with all his might, but in the end, he died. The demon emperor was indifferent, and even ignored it. The Phoenix Emperor didn't say a word, as if nothing had happened. My Eagle race's emperor gave up everything for the demon race, but in the end, he only ended up silently. Today, I, the mysterious Sky Iron Eagle, will definitely fight for my emperor. But this is not enough. The Eagle race's saint laughed out loud, not enough. Not enough. No matter what, my Eagle race will make all living beings in this world remember this day. His voice was filled with indignation, grief, and an inexplicable chill. The Eagle race had always thought, always felt, that today's battle was for the Eagle Emperor. But now, even though the Demon Emperor was dead, this battle against the Phoenix Emperor had a completely different flavor. In the end, it was not for the Eagle Emperor, but instead, it was to help the Demon Emperor take revenge. How could they be disappointed? The Eagle race had always loved to go to extremes. Their extreme personality, coupled with the extreme battle situation, as well as the extreme self-destruction of the Eagle race's Eagle Emperor's personal guards, had completely ignited the hysterical extreme factor in the eagle race's body. Only one thought, all of it was focused on fighting for their own grievances. Then who the F***ck cares about the grievances of our eagle emperor? Have you all forgotten? But we will not forget. Even in death, we will not forget. The eagle race was enraged, they had gone crazy. That was a kind of anger that had been ignored by others, so angry that they went crazy. The 500 personal guards of the eagle race turned this anger into a shocking roar in the sky. They brought away hundreds of thousands of demons. Every single one of them was above the middle stage of the demon race. In fact, the sages of the phoenix race and dragon race were all riddled with injuries, and a few of them had their bodies destroyed. Even the phoenix emperor was trembling uncontrollably after enduring this shocking explosion. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth, and her internal organs were all injured. But this was not enough. The eagle race's grand elder roared, "Who still remembers me, the eagle?" The remaining thousands of top combat power of the eagle race roared in unison, "Who still remembers me, the eagle?" The eagle race's grand elder looked up to the sky and laughed, "From today onwards, as long as there is history, there will definitely be traces of me, the eagle." Yes. Ha ha ha. Several eagle tribe elders laughed and transformed into their original forms. Just like the eagle guards from before, they charged into the battle circle. They were resolute and courageously charged forward without any regrets. "Sorry, we know that we are not a match for you, so we will not embarrass ourselves. We will not fight with you head-on. But the phoenix race, dragon race, phoenix emperor, demon emperor, you still have to repay what you owe the eagle race. We will take it away today. Regardless of life or death." There were a total of 2,500 eagle tribe experts, and the weakest among them was a third-grade Saint Monarch. They rushed forward in unison, charging forward without any regrets even if they died 9 times. "If there really is another world after death, I am willing to fight with the Emperor." The Grand Elder's words officially opened the prelude to the self-destruction of the peak combat power of the eagle race. The eagle race experts roared and charged down. They still did not differentiate between friend and foe. The dragon race and phoenix race were the focus of their attacks, but the other races, including the rock race, leopard race, bear race, tiger race, and other friendly races, were all their targets as long as they were in the battle circle. Because the self-destruction attack was too extreme, it was the final move that they could not control. Since they had already decided to explode in the final brilliance of their lives, why should they care so much? However, all the sage experts of the eagle race were charging towards the phoenix emperor. The 3 eagle race sage experts pushed their life potential to the limit, turning it into the strongest heaven and earth cage. Then, they used their cultivation, blood, chi, and life origin soul. Everything was concentrated and released, forming a cage that completely sealed the Phoenix Emperor's power. As for the other saints, they were like moths flying into a flame as they charged towards the shackles. Kill the Phoenix Emperor. This was the common belief of everyone in the eagle race. Violent explosions rang out one after another, and countless giant dragons and colorful phoenixes tumbled down from the sky. Their bodies were riddled with wounds, and the wounds on their bodies were the lightest as they were still alive. Many of them were suddenly torn to shreds as they plummeted, and they fell into the seawater and perished on the spot. Other than the dragon race and phoenix race, the other demon races, such as the rock race, leopard race, tiger race, and wolf race, all suffered the same treatment. This was the final explosion of the eagle race, the most dazzling explosion. No one could say anything about them. 2,500 Eagle Clan experts turned into a heaven-shaking explosion. More than 3 million experts of the various races perished in this extremely loud explosion. Emperor Rock, who was closer to the Phoenix Emperor, suffered a huge impact from the explosion. Even with his peak high-level sage strength, his entire body was blasted into smithereens. The Bear Emperor, Tiger Emperor, and the others were also covered in wounds, their facial features covered in blood. Among them, the Crane Emperor was the most unfortunate. He was too close to the Phoenix Emperor. The Crane race had been oppressed by the Phoenix race for many years, so the Crane Emperor had too much dissatisfaction with the Phoenix Emperor. Now that he had found an opportunity, he risked his life to attack. As for this desperate attack, he had truly risked his life. He was directly affected by the self-detonation of the Eagle race's sages, causing his body and soul to be destroyed, and he died on the spot. The sage experts led by the Dragon race's Azure Dragon Elder and White Dragon Elder were all swept away by the Eagle race's self-detonation. They were all dead. As for the other demon experts, more than 1 million of them had been taken away by this self-detonation. Many of the organized demon troops were completely annihilated, not a single one left. It was as if the Phoenix Emperor's personal guards had been completely annihilated in this huge explosion. They had died hand in hand. As for the Dragon race, because of their hatred and eagerness to take revenge, they were very close, so naturally, more of them died. This self-detonation even affected the sea area and blasted it into the sky. A large amount of seawater flew into the air with the huge explosion, revealing the yellow-brown ground below. It did not recover for a long time. Such ferocity was shocking, soul-stirring, and terrifying. It was not even enough to describe a 10,000th of it. The Phoenix Emperor was the core target of this self-detonation attack. She had suffered more than 90% of the explosion's power. Even the current Phoenix Emperor found it difficult to withstand the power of such an attack. The protective Nirvana flames had almost been blown away. Her internal organs were injured, and she was bleeding from her 7 orifices. She had even been blown back to her original form. One of her wings had been blown away because she had suffered the most direct impact. One of her eyes had disappeared, and one of her claws was half crippled. The most serious injury was her head, which had been split into pieces. Such serious injuries could be said to be unprecedented. Even if the other experts of the Phoenix clan, Dragon clan, and various other clans were lucky enough to survive, they couldn't avoid being heavily injured. When they saw the Phoenix Emperor being blasted to the point he was practically dead, all of them were overjoyed, and they mobilized all their remaining strength to pounce over. Obviously, they wanted to take advantage of his weakness to kill him. Although the Phoenix Sovereign was heavily injured, the injuries on its body did not disappear even after the might of the explosion had passed. Instead, it became more and more tattered, as if it could collapse at any moment. Seeing the demons attacking it, it staggered backwards. Although the Phoenix Emperor had obtained shocking power, this power was still not fully integrated into his body. He was not able to fully use it. Therefore, under the extreme attack just now, his body was almost blown to pieces. It was still more than the combined self-detonation of 8 sages, more than 30 half-sages, and more than 2,000 lords. The fact that the Phoenix Emperor was still alive was already extremely lucky. It was a great miracle. If his cultivation hadn't been increased by the world annihilation strategy, he would have died at least 10 to 20 times. However, it was precisely because of this that the Phoenix Emperor was afraid, and the anger in his eyes became more and more intense. I didn't really kill you all. Do you think I'm easy to bully? The Phoenix Emperor was completely enraged. An unprecedented thick killing intent filled his heart, overflowing with killing intent. As he watched Emperor Rock and the others charge over like enemies who had killed his father, the Phoenix Emperor's rationality was gradually replaced by anger. What did I do wrong? I've indeed done many unconscionable things, but most of my original intentions were for the demons. Under my guidance, Long Yutian became the leader of the demons, but he wasn't qualified to be the demon emperor. I only maximized the benefits of his death. That's all. How did it become an unforgivable crime? I might feel apologetic towards Long Yutian, but I don't owe you anything. Why are you so relentless? Others might not know, but do you think I don't know that you are the ones who betrayed the demons? You were originally heavily injured, but you were still able to appear here today. If you hadn't colluded with Heaven and Earth's Supreme Cloud, how could your injuries have recovered so quickly? All of you have done unconscionable things, so what right do you have to be so righteous? Now, almost all the elites of the demon race have died here. Is this all my fault? The Phoenix Emperor's eyes turned red. Kill! The Phoenix Emperor roared. At this point, both sides finally had no way out, and their eyes were completely bloodshot. But it was a pity that the targets of this bloodshot slaughter were the internal strife of the demon race, and not their original opponent, the humans. This time, Neptune was completely speechless. The internal strife of the demon race had already reached an earth-shattering level. The self-destruction of many Xian beasts in the Tian Fa Holy Land was already shocking and shocking. But the main reason why Tian Fa chose to self-destruct was because the Xian beasts were not strong enough. They could only use this kind of extreme method to make up for their lack of combat strength. But what was the situation with the eagle race? All the higher-ups of an entire race self-destructed. Just what kind of deep hatred was there for them to do this? The Sea Emperor also heard it. All of this stemmed from the death of the Demon Emperor. He was even more confused. What's going on? Why did the so-called number one expert in the world suddenly die? It doesn't matter if he's dead, but, are you guys trying to play us to death by doing this? As the Dragon race and Phoenix race started fighting, other powerful races joined in. The entire battlefield had already turned into a mess. The Sea race fought with the humans. The other demon races fought with the humans. The Dragon race, the Crane race, the Eagle race, the Phoenix race, the Rock race, the Tiger race, the Leopard race, the Bear race, all of them were fighting each other. The situation was so bad that even the most imaginative person would not be able to imagine it. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.